Ningyu's plan, too. In their eyes, a person who doesn't even recognize their own mother was as bad as it comes for a scumbag. Finding support from the masses, the middle-aged madam that looked both dirty and haggard became more full of herself, puffing up her chest. Those like you who only recognize a godmother and forget their own real mother is going to face retribution if you don't change your ways. After throwing that out there, the stranger then turns to glare at Bai Ning. And you, are you blind or what? Do you think just because she's similar to you in appearance that it's fate? Only a fool would think such a thing is coincidental. Bai Ning's eyes gradually turned cold after that outburst. And you think it's not? Of course not. A while back I inadvertently came across a cosmetic Dan pill. It can allow the user to change their face according to what they imagine upon us. Huffing deeply like she's exasperated by the memory, the madam borderline growled at Bai Yan's face. Then this girl. She somehow got wind of you and the forces under your control. She wanted to become your daughter. That's why she stole the pill from underneath my eye. The purpose is to take control of your powers. Bai Ning didn't reply to that, nor did Bai Yan in this case. It's just that, while Bai Yan herself didn't speak to defend herself, those hands had involuntarily clenched into a tight ball with sweat covering it. She could honestly say she's never been afraid in this lifetime, even during her time alone. However, this time she's obviously feeling panic inside. For one thing, the lady herself had plenty of methods to prove herself innocent, but that's not the issue here. What if her real mother Bai Ning doesn't believe her? What would Bai Yan do then? It's torture, plain and simple, pure torture. Fully understanding it's her time to shine, Ningyu steps forward like an indignant daughter trying to protect her own mother. Don't say that about my Auntie Ning. She's a kind-hearted woman who has a big heart and would believe anyone if they are true to her. She has nothing to do with this matter. If you say another sentence about my Auntie Ning, then I won't let you go. The middle-aged madam obviously got the signal and knew it's time to move on to the second phase of their plan. Softening up in her voice towards Bai Ning. You really are a foolish one. You got such a nice girl here and you don't cherish. Instead you turn your kindness towards a wolf who would abandon their own mother. I ask you, what sort of sincerity could such a person have towards you? The onlookers also seemed to feel the same way after hearing that logic. Immediately, nods were shared among the crowd. That's right, a person who would change their own face just to recognize an adopted mother, and ignore their real one couldn't be a good individual. This girl really can't be judged by her face. Oh wait, that's not her real one. I know, right? I think the smaller girl over there is quite nice. She knows how to protect their loved ones. A daughter should be like that. Taking this chance, Ningyu dropped her face downwards in a dejected manner, similar to an innocent someone suffering due to the circumstances. It's only right for a daughter to be their mother's intimate little cotton wool. Even if Auntie Ning won't consider me her biological daughter, I have long taken her as mine. I never had a mother since I was young, so my feelings towards her are pure, unlike others who came with ulterior motives. After saying that, Ningyu's eyes had turned red when glaring at Bai Yan, the anger and hatred unconcealed and upfront. Ningyu's plan 3. Bai Yan's gaze met with Bai Ning's then. In that moment, she could feel her heart sinking due to the darkening expression in her mother's face. She doesn't believe me? Growing bittersweet on the face over the thought. Perhaps me not telling her about Ningyuan is the right choice. After all, compared to them who has stayed with her all these years, I am still just a stranger. Suddenly, a hand gentle lands onto Bai Yan's shoulder, causing her to stiffen up and look up. Ningyu's touch of had anger disappeared following that gesture, replaced only by the look of dismay and surprise over her Auntie Ning's behavior. You think I favor this girl just because of her face being similar to me? Bai Ning spoke mildly like the whole thing didn't affect her in the least. That's not true. I like her because she gives me a very comfortable feeling like someone I know in the past and not because of her face. Ningyu's heart trembled at that, pursing her lip until blood's almost seeping out. But Auntie Ning, her biological mother, is already knocking at the door. I'm only saying that because I'm afraid of you being deceived by her. Biological mother? Bai Ning said it with such sarcasm that it's vicious sounding. Turning to the madam in question, you say you are her real mother, where's your evidence? Do you have some sort of method to prove your blood relationship with my goddaughter? How about we test the matter by mixing your bloods and see Humph, I'm not going to believe some random stranger's claim just because they say so. Towards the seething glare of the woman's eye, the impersonating madam instinctively cowered and fell into a panic. She was only instructed to act out the role, and never given any proof to make the case. What's more, testing the issue by mixing their blood would be a dead giveaway. Gritting the teeth, the madam knew she had to get unreasonable to get through this. Mixing our blood can't prove anything. That pill doesn't just change the appearance, it also changes her body's makeup. Also, I have no enmity with her, why would I frame her? What benefit do I gain? The logic brought on another wave of agreeing nods from the crowd. Though it's not a common occurrence to change one's body makeup with a medicinal ingredient, but there has been recorded cases in the past history books. Therefore, the liability of proof now falls back onto Bai Yan's lap. Despite this fact, Bai Ning didn't budge and reached down with her hands to hold onto her nervous daughter's hand. The act brought warmth to Bai Yan's heart, and she never felt so protected before. Genuinely smiling, Bai Yan now has the courage to step up. Mother, I can handle this matter myself. Thank you for believing in me. I will be sure to give you satisfactory answer. For her own sake, and her mother here, this lady who has never known to be the receiver of motherly love has finally awakened to the bond. You said I'm conniving after my mother's power? The middle-aged madam swiftly nodded. That's right, you are after her strength. Oh, in that case, why don't you tell me the so-called powers behind her? I'm curious and want to know. Crossing her arms, her stance was casual and strong. The demand forced the madam back again. Going slightly white in the face, the impostor had to thank Ningyu for conceiving this scenario ahead of time. This woman is able to call upon a demonic beast wielding strength superior to that of a high divine. That's why you are trying so hard to get close to her. You want to control that creature. Ningyu's plan for enlightenment seems to dawn on Bai Yan's face after that verbal exchange. Gleaming with light in her eyes, everything simply clicked into place. No wonder Ning Yuan and his daughter would try to drive me away so much. Perhaps that man does like my mother from the hearts down. But this girl Ningyu though, why is she so obsessed with someone that's not her real biological mother? It just doesn't make sense, especially to this extent where she would resist anyone getting close. Perhaps it's due to that demonic beasts. Sure enough, Ningyu's heart fell into a fluster over the look she's receiving from Bai Yan. Did this slut discover something? No, she can't. Even Pa doesn't know about my secret. How did this slut see through to my thoughts? So that's why. Mother, where's that demonic beast of yours? Bai Yan asks her mother with a smiling face, blinking her eyes at the question. He's currently injured right now and is resting in his lair. Yinner, do you want to meet him? If you do, then I can take you to him. Ningyu's fist once again clenched up with her chest tightening from suffocation. It couldn't be helped. She's infuriated at the moment due to what Bai Ning said there. In the past, she has repeatedly asked to go meet that demonic beast and was refused time and time again due to the eccentric nature of that creature. But there's no way this petite girl would take that lying down considering her character, of course. That's why she secretly snuck along during one of Bai Ning's outing and learned of an amazing secret. Due to the lady's refusal to accept servitude from the creature because of how much she cherishes him from saving her life, the demonic beast nevertheless insisted on returning the debt and promised to become the familiar of Bai Ning's daughter. Of course, the emotional attachment Ningyu had for her Auntie Ning was very real too. But compounding that emotion with the benefits of controlling an incredibly powerful creature was a huge boon. That's more than enough reason for the petite girl to become possessive and territorial. And this secret desire, well, let's say the girl herself never divulged it to anyone, including her old man Ning Yuan. Okay, I will go back with you and meet that demonic beast. I can see where he's hurt and perhaps help with his injury. Bai Yan then returns her attention to the middle-aged madam with a sneer. But first I need to deal with this matter here. What are you planning to do? The madam stumbles back a few steps again. You claim to be my mother, so you should know me very well, right? Shuddering inside, the madam stutters her response over the worsening situation. How would I know? You even know about my mother's demonic beast. What wouldn't you know? Let me take a guess on what your next words are. The 2 guards I brought along, they're also given to me by you, correct? After all, my ability is so poor, so it's normal to expect that. Am I right again? The madam gulped, shaking in her reply now. Well, of course. They got turned by you because you sold your body to the old one and deceived the maid I gave to you. Ningyu's plan 5. The part about Bai Yan having these 2 escorts have already been divulged to the madam through Ningyu's mouth, hence her smooth retort just now. However, that was the trap itself, and this middle-aged woman fell directly into it. Breaking out into a chuckle, Bai Yan lays it out. This auntie, I only want to know one thing. How can you make my people submit to you considering your strength? Answer that. Nervous in her voice over how confident the other side was, the madam carefully made her stance. It's just 2 escorting guards, why can't I make them submit? I can still afford to pay them even in my state. Smirking in response, Bai Yan knew it's time she stopped messing around. Dragony Flame half Ching Sing. Why don't you 2 come out now? Swoosh. After the lady said that, a massive outflux of wind blew downwards from the 2nd floor due to the powerful force coming off of the 2 monsters. By the time everyone looked up, Bai Yan's so-called escorts had already jumped over the rails from the upper venue and onto the main lobby, their gaze dark and menacing towards the madam. For one thing, the pair wouldn't have cared much if the problem revolved only around their supposed mistress. After all, they only became Bai Yan's familiar due to being tricked. However, what the madam there shouldn't have said was that last bit about controlling them. Nothing but a dirty-looking middle-aged woman at the middle divine level. That's a far cry from their own strength in reality. It's insulting to be degraded by someone so inferior. Against the oppressive aura coming off of the 2 new entries, the madam reacted just like expected and faltered backwards. Didn't Ningyu say these 2 are only weak servants that can't pose a threat? Why are they so scary? Bai Ning was the first to speak out after recognizing how strong the old goat and snake was. The lady's strength may be at the bottom divine level, but this elder here is already at the peak level of the high divine stage. Incredible! Boom! Without surprise, the explanation sent a shockwave among the onlookers, who quickly flew into an explosive gasp of awe and shock. High divine. She actually has a high divine individual acting as her escort? Doesn't that testify to the incredible background of this young lady? In that case, why should she need to use such means to acquire the help of a demonic beast that might or might not compare in strength? More importantly, how can this madam here subdue someone so much stronger than herself? That's just ridiculous. Unbeknownst to everyone else, Bai Ning had kept one key factor inside without saying it aloud, and that was these 2 are both demonic beasts. In the celestial realm, it's a well-known fact that any demons or demonic beasts are firmly suppressed, especially the stronger ones. If those in power become aware of these monsters, hordes of greedy individuals would surely come and try to steal them away and use them as their own familiars instead. And if not, well, naturally the 2 would be destroyed in the end. Neither ending was something Bai Ning wished upon her goddaughter here. Now the ball was thrown way back to the dirty-looking madam, which made the woman promptly turn to seek help from her employer. Unfortunately for this imposter though, Ningyu was done with her at this point and threw a punch into her stomach before the madam could utter a word. How dare you frame my sister, Bai Yan? You nearly made me misunderstand her. You truly deserve to be punished for this. The petite girl's face appeared seething with anger, which quickly evolved into a look of murderous intent. Understanding what's about to happen, the madam flinched and stared in horror. She knows Ningyu intends to kill her at this point and silence the issue since things has come this far. Ningyu's plan 6. In a moment of desperation, the bleakly white-faced madam actually lunged into a crawl for Bai Ning's leg when she realized what's going to happen to herself. However, before she could even make it a few knees forward, Ningyu had come down again with another punch and sent her body flying. Blood now kept pouring out of her mouth as horror gripped the madam's face. Now you're trying to harm my Auntie Ning? Ningyu grabbed onto her accomplice's collar and snapped out. If you try anything, then I will not let your entire family go. There's a reason she emphasized the family word, because the madam immediately flew into a bigger panic and understood the underlying threat inside that sentence. If I dare reveal she's the one who instructed me to do all this, then my entire family will suffer, and my son who's in her hand will also die. Miss, please spare me. I know I am wrong. I mistook you for someone else. The madam hurriedly changed her tune and squeezed this out towards Bai Yan. Bai Yan naturally didn't believe a single word there. Squinting her eyes, she shifts her attention from the woman who's obviously being blackmailed in some way to the petite girl instead, smirking as she spoke. Mistook me for another person? You even knew about my mother's demonic beast, so how do you explain that? Ningyu's face went pale in that instant, knowing the sentence was meant for herself. I just knew this woman wouldn't be so easily blindsided. I should have listened to Pa and done what he asked to poison this slut. Now Auntie Ning will distrust me even if I wiggle out of this mess. Sure enough, Bai Ning's brow began to furrow up after listening to Bai Yan's logic, because there's only a couple of people who even knew of that demonic beast under her care. Specifically, the main two suspects are Ning Yuan and his daughter Ningyu. Aside from those two, she couldn't really think of anyone else. Suddenly, a dreaded idea popped into the woman's head, causing Bai Ning to tremble in disbelief and fear of the truth. It's not like this lady was a soft-hearted woman. Rather, Ningyu's a child. She personally oversaw her growth. To find out that the young baby has grown up to be an evil villain at heart, why wouldn't she be hurt and traumatized? No, you are wrong. The madam shakes her head and continues to force her own story. Everything I did was on purpose. In that moment, a flash of determination filled the imposter's eye, like she's come to terms with her own fate. You believe no one knows about your demonic beast? You're wrong. I've long known about it. The reason I want this woman to leave is because I wanted my daughter to take her place. I knew that's the only way to trick you. Despite the self-righteous expression on the madam's face, her true feelings were quite different. It's fear and panic, sprinkled in with a bit of hatred now towards everyone here. Like a cornered rat, when there's no room for escape, then a prey would also grow fangs. That's the reasoning for the hatred. But a mother would always be a mother. When her baby boy's life was in the hands of a vile girl like Ningyu, the madam could only suppress the urge to fight and bear the crime. Bai Ning didn't respond to that, only staying silent for a long while before turning to her so-called niece. Seeking one's own death, one. Does this matter have something to do with you? Bai Ning's voice sounded heavy, which rattled the girl greatly. Why would you ask that, Auntie Ning? What does this have to do with me? Alright, I only hope that's the case. If I find out you are behind this incident, then I won't let you off even if I'm the one who watched you grow. Due to the warning tone used there, Ningyu's jealousy only grew in kind. Auntie Ning, I would never do such a thing. I only hope that's the case. Bai Ning gives a nod, then gradually shifting her attention back to the madam. So you are not afraid of death? Not afraid of death? Of course not. How's that possible? In fact, the dirty-looking madam has long been shaking in the legs due to fear. She wished she could confess the truth but couldn't, gritting those teeth. So what if I'm afraid? Will you not kill me if I say yes? Tell me who's directing you, then I will spare your life otherwise. Mixed in her usual voice now was a chilling note, indicating Bai Ning meant exactly what she said there about the consequences. Going white in the face over that threat. Then you might as well just kill me. The madam wasn't some heartless, ruthless killer like Ningyu and her father. Compared to dragging her own family and son into this mess further, the woman would rather die alone in this case and spare her own loved ones. If you're not afraid of death, then how about not being to die despite wanting to die? Bai Ning continues to lead the conversation down a path she knew would strike fear. Not being able to die despite wanting to die. The middle-aged madam widens her eyes in shock. What do you mean by that? The meaning is very simple. Since you don't want to give out the mastermind, then why don't I let you experience what it means to be pierced by 1,000 knives? Staring down at her prey with a devilish smirk, Bai Ning's aura was bone-chilling. A testimony to her true character when confronting an enemy. Unable to die? Pain of 1,000 knives? This woman can be that cruel? Auntie Ning. Ningyu quivered and cuts in. She's afraid of the dirty-looking madam spilling the beans due to fear at this moment. Isn't that too cruel? Although she did frame Sister Bai Yan, but I believe having her pay with her life is enough. Being unable to die but can't is much too cruel of a fate for the crime she committed. Unmoved on the face, Bai Ning turns to face the girl, which sent shudders down Ningyu's heart and made her stop. That's not a face Ningyu has ever seen, and it's left her speechless. Are you sure you want to sacrifice yourself for that mastermind? Bai Ning asks again after shutting the annoyance down. The repeated asking did make the madam waver somewhat, but at the thought of her own son for the second time already, the madam knew she couldn't. All of this is done and orchestrated by me and me alone. There's no other people involved. Getting nowhere with her interrogation techniques, Bai Ning was about to get serious and draw her blade when Bai Yan stopped her with a raised hand. Yanner, what's the matter? She asks with a puzzled look. Mother, I said I'll take care of this, you just need to wait for me. I will make her talk. Seeking one's own death, too. In Bai Yan's view, she only needs her mother Bai Ning's recognition and belief. As for everyone else's here, it doesn't matter to her. In this life, she never wants to experience the taste of losing a loved one again. Okay. Bai Ning draws a faint smile and retreated to the back, allowing her daughter to take the lead in this matter. Just now you said everything you did is for the sake of your own daughter, correct? Bai Yin asks with an unreadable face. Unsure of what's going to transpire, the madam nevertheless steeled herself and answered, Yes. Very well, why don't you ask your daughter to come out then? I would love to see how amazing that cosmetic Dan pill is since you keep bragging about its effect. The madam knew this lady was hard to deal with already, but she didn't expect Bai Yan to be this difficult. Where was she supposed to find a daughter to prove the case? My daughter left home for a while already, she's no longer with me, nor can I get in touch with her on such short notice. Oh. Acting like she's enlightened to the fact, a damning light flickered within Bai Yan's eye. In that case, I have here poisonous pill you can take. It will cause all those with a blood relationship to you be affected as well once consumed, meaning she and you will both be poisoned. Trembling in horror, the madam falters backward to get away from that object. What did you just say? The poison will affect anyone who's related to me by blood if I take that? By this point Bai Yan has had to hand it to Ningyu in finding someone so resilient. The madam's obviously panicking and afraid, yet she's still able to make her words clear and not have a mental breakdown. You also said it yourself, you wanted your daughter to take on the appearance of my mother. As someone that's naturally blind, what if I mistakenly take your daughter as my mother someday? Wouldn't that be embarrassing? So in order to remove that problematic issue, it's best to have your daughter die with you instead. Shrugging like it's nothing serious, Bai Yan puts on a nonchalant face and left the other side stiff as a rock. Blind? Recognize the wrong person? You might as well say you're going after my non-existent daughter instead. Why make such excuses? White in the face. Does such poison really exist? Why don't you give it a try and see for yourself? Taking a step forward, Bai Yin pushes a black-looking pill forward. Frantically getting up from the floor after finding how nauseating the smell was from the bead, the madam cries out. No, I don't want to take that poison, I don't want to harm my son. I'll tell you everything. Please don't harm my son. Ningyu was already dumbfounded due to Bai Yan's explanation. Now she's also flying into a panic over the madam's confession. It's only a poison, everything would be finished if you just eat it. A person like you deserves to die. After saying this, Ningyu attempts to snatch away the poison so that she could force it down the madam's throat. However, Bai Yan already expected that and retreated in kind so the item remains out of reach. You bitch, framing my sister Bai Yan is the worst. I'm going to kill you. Bang. Her palm strike carried the rage she felt inwardly, so it was incredibly violent once it landed onto the madam's chest. Ningyu, stop. Bai Ning snaps out, outraged at the girl's intent to kill. Unfortunately, the order was futile because Ningyu swung out anyways and with an evil smirk as well. Seeking one's own death, 3. Yet just as she's about to make the killing blow, an old figure promptly got in between her and the madam. Bang! Following that loud impacting noise, Dragon Flame lands a heavy blow onto Ningyu's chest, sending her flying out several feet away until she slams into a wall. Piff. Twisted in the face, the girl kept puking blood as a result while staring death glares at her target still. Understanding this was her chance, the madam cries out. It is she. She is the one who asked me to impersonate your mother. She wanted to drive you away from this woman. I only promised to do this because she offered me a lot of valuable things, but please spare my son, he is innocent. But dump. Taking to her knees, the middle-aged madam didn't try to twist the story anymore and spilled everything. Why didn't you expose her just now? Happily placing the bead away, Bai Yan no longer needed it. A flash of panic appeared in the madam's eye then. Her father is still out there. If anything happens to the girl, her father will murder my entire family. I don't want my son to die, that's why I didn't out her earlier. Please forgive me, I never did anything that's truly damning here, right? Bai Yin couldn't hold back her scoffing sneer then, because that's far from the truth. Didn't do much? If my mother didn't trust me so much, wouldn't that mean I'm screwed instead? Collapsing to the ground with strength leaving her body, the madam truly regrets it right now. Please at least let me son go. I only ask you not hurt my family. Fine, I won't hurt them, but I will make them lose their memories of you. Afterwards, they will never remember you again. Despite the pain hovering in the madam's eye, she knew this was the greatest mercy she's going to get in this case. Yinner, that poisonous pill in your possession really is that effective? Bai Ning comes in and asks, her eyes staring constantly at the spot where it's being stored. If I feed that to my enemy's son, will my enemy also be poisoned? Gawking in the face. Mother, I only tricked her just now. How can there be such a poison in this world? Bai Ning just stood there stunned, just like the madam who's dumbfounded on the floor. However, both women paled in comparison to the shock exploding out of Ning Yu's eyes, who kept staring straight towards the lady who deceived everyone. What did she just say? She was lying earlier? Scratching her nose at the added attention, Bai Yin felt embarrassed for some reason. Mother, you didn't really believe me just now, right? Bai Ning literally twitched in the corner of her mouth, because she didn't know to respond to her daughter. Seriously, who would have thought that such an honest-looking lady would be able to lie so thoroughly? You were lying to me? The madam stutters this out, her finger pointing and shaking from disbelief. I actually exposed Ning Yu because of a lie? Grinning mischievously. If I didn't do that, would you have revealed the mastermind? This is called tactics, you understand? If you want to blame someone, then blame yourself for being so gullible. Sure enough, Bai Yan's statement left the madam more despairing than ever. Ning Yu too, the girls also unable to process all of the information and just stared at Bai Yan's face. Then once Bai Ning turned to look at her, the petite girl finally came back to her senses and pounced at the lady's leg. Seeking one's own death for. Auntie Ning, this is not me, really not me, this person is framing me, you have to believe me. Bai Ning frowned at that. How do you want me to believe you? Aside from you who knows about the powers in my hand, there's only your father as the other. Are you implying he's the one who betrayed me? Auntie Ning, letting her hand go. Ning Yu slowly looks up and was met with that cold hard face. There's no longer any kindness in those eyes that she has come to know. Ning Yu, you really let me down this time. How did I educate you? I wanted you to be a frank person, and this is the sort of behavior you used to repay me? Replacing that anger in the woman's face now was disappointment. Although she had long known that Ning Yu might not be what she presumes to be on the outside, nevertheless, Bai Ning still regarded this petite girl as some sort of child in her own eyes. Throwing tantrums and personalities around due to puberty was expected. However, this was far beyond what she imagined. Making a smile like the soul has left her body, Ning Yu slowly rose from the ground, pain and despair showing all over her existence. Yes, you raised and educated me to be a frank person since young, but what have you done in retrospect? Over the years, I've treated and looked towards you as my real mother, but you always treated me as someone else, a replacement. I'm a substitute for your daughter, that's what you were using me for. Do you know how much it hurts me inside because of that? Tears filled those saddened eyes as the pain fluid covered the girl's face. Imagine being second fiddle to a daughter that never once showed herself. That's mentally damaging for any child. In this case, the petite girl may be vicious and cruel as well in nature, but she does have a point in not wanting to share her motherly figure. This was especially true when it came to Bai Yan and her children. It's far beyond the level of love she herself got, and that made Ning Yu go crazy. That's why you did it? Bai Ning asks with a long sigh, shaking her head in a bittersweet manner. Auntie Ning, I am so good to you, and my father only has you in his heart. Why do you hide so many things from us? Like that demonic beast, he once said he will return the debt by becoming your daughter's familiar after your rejection. Is that why you refuse to take me as your daughter? You want to reserve that creature for your real daughter? Dropping her mouth into an oval shape, Bai Ning couldn't believe what she was hearing. Half a minute later, she issues a helpless sigh and said, I did not accept you as my daughter because I subconsciously know I have a daughter. Since I already have a daughter of my own, how can I take someone else's child? As for the matter with my demonic beast, you're overthinking it. I never intended to have him pledge loyalty to anyone. Clenching her fist until it's shaking, Ningyu uses her bloodshot eyes to stare dead into the woman's eye. Okay, ignoring the demonic beast, why can't you take me as your daughter? I kept you company for all these years. I should have every right to that title than someone who abandoned you. Which part of me you don't like? I promise I will change. Abandoned you? This sentence left Bai Yen sharpening in the eye as she glared over to the petite girl. You never seen her family before, so how do you know she was abandoned by them? In my opinion, the only reason they haven't found mother is because someone is interfering with malice thoughts and prevented her memories from returning. Seeking one's own death. 5. You're talking nonsense. Ningyu snaps back at Bai Yen with her vicious glare. In the lass's view, it's all because of this woman with that similar face that all of this happened. It's all her fault. Auntie Ning's relatives doesn't deserve to call themselves her family. They abandoned her, and now they want her back because they found out about her powers? What kind of logic is that in this world? Scoffing a sarcastic sneer, Ningyu's eyes had transformed from jealousy to pure hatred. And how do you know her loved ones abandoned her? Bai Yen retorts. Of course I know. Ningyu clenched her hands until blood could be seen around the palm. If it wasn't for her loved ones abandoning her, then how could Auntie Ning still be alone after all these years? She may have lost her memories, but they didn't. There's no reason for them to not even bother searching. But what I didn't think possible is our importance in Auntie Ning's eye. We've kept her company for so many years, through thick and thin, yet we still couldn't hold a candle to those heartless wolves that never gave her any warmth. Normally such words would be moving to the audience, but in this case, Bai Yen already knew the truth and couldn't resist holding back a snicker. Regardless, that mockery immediately earned her a cold hard glare from the petite girl. And I also know her heartless daughter only came back because of her change in strength. Ha ha ha, if I were Auntie Ning, I would never recognize such a daughter again. Ningyu's appearance and laugh bordered on the edge of madness. Auntie Ning, me and my pa are so good to you, why do you treat us like this? Is it because I'm not your biological daughter? Is that why? You know my pa only got together with my birth mother because she used underhanded methods to trick him. He only loves you. In Ningyu's view, her birth mother doesn't deserve to be her mother because of the woman's lowly status. A maid, and a dead one at that. There's no way a girl like her would accept such a origin. That's why she's pushing all her ideas onto Bai Ning. It's also to wash away the lowly status from her mother's blood. Frowning, Bai Ning eventually issues a long sigh again towards the crazed madness in the girl. I've been wrong from the very beginning. I shouldn't have given you too much love, and now that has caused your personality to become this twisted mess. I'm sorry. Towards Ningyu, Bai Ning could say for sure she's completely disappointed and lost all hope in saving her. That means the lady won't interfere regardless of what Bai Yen intends to do with the lass. No, that's not true. In a panic, Ningyu grasps onto the woman's sleeve. You're not wrong. If anyone is at fault, it's those so-called relatives of yours. They're all a bunch of wolves, yes, wolves. Bang. In the very next moment she blurted that out, a small little figure had rushed down from the second-floor balcony and punched the girl in the chest before anyone could react. Stumbling backwards as a small trickle of blood seeped through from the corner of her mouth, Ningyu glares hatefully at the small little steam bun responsible for the injury. Seeking one's own death. 6. You bad woman, don't bully my mother and grandmother. If you dare continue, then I'm going to have Dragoni eat you. In saying this, the little steam bun allowed his ferocious side to come through. What did he just say? Did he just call me grandmother instead of pretty granny? Bai Ning had fallen into a daze upon hearing that outburst, her eyes in dismay over the angry appearance of the boy. What did you say? Ningyu hatefully reached out with both hands in a vain attempt to tear apart the cute little guy. However, before she could even draw close though, Dragon Flame's figure had already jumped in between her and the kid. Sensing the incredible and menacing aura coming off of this old fella, Ningyu instinctively cowered backwards in a panic. She knows full well trying to do anything in front of this opponent was a futile effort, so she could do nothing but glare at the boy and his mother in question. Ignoring the raging hate coming her way, Bai Yen acts like she didn't notice at all and ruffled her boy's hair as she spoke. Xiachen, didn't I tell you to wait for me in the room? Why did you come out? Losing that murderous look from his face over that kind voice, Bai Xiachen immediately dons a wrong child appearance as he hung his head low. I'm sorry, mother. I had wanted to endure the insults coming out of that bad woman's mouth, but I lost it when she started to call you a heartless wolf. She's clearly the heartless wolf here. Bai Ning's head exploded, leaving her brain a blank slate. Xiachen claims Ningyu called Yin'er a heartless wolf? But she was clearly calling my daughter that. How does it relate to Bai Yan? The lady was in no way a dumb person. She's perfectly capable of connecting the dots after being given all the hints. It's just that. Well, when one has been disappointed for so many years, it's normal for them to be fearful of making a misunderstanding and being hurt again. On the contrary, those words were causing waves in the petite girl's mind as sweat poured out and resentment hovered in those eyes. It's just like Pa says, this slut is Auntie Ning's biological daughter. How dare she come now? It has always been me and Pa accompanying her. How dare this heartless wolf come steal the fruits of our labor? Mother, turning to the side to make eye contact, Bai Yan wants to make sure there's no consequences for what she's about to do. Will you be distressed if I move against her? Startled at first over that question, Bai Ning took a good moment to think on the matter before responding. This is what she brought on herself. I won't complain to anyone if you do. She has already given her a chance. It's Ningyu who didn't cherish the opportunity, and instead did something irreparable. Auntie Ning. Ningyu felt truly scared now. In her panic, she ran to kneel before the lady. Please, I know I'm wrong. Please forgive me this one time out of consideration for all the years we've been together. Shaking her head despite all the tears and cries for mercy. I have warned you, but you didn't listen. In that case, why should I continue to forgive you? Call her heartless or cruel, she doesn't care. She simply doesn't want any harm to come to Bai Yan, that's all. Even if the perpetrator was someone like Ningyu, Bai Ning won't intervene. Casting the bait, one. Ningyu's face froze as she stared at the woman whom she considered her own mother. There's grief and there's pain, but most of all, she felt betrayed. I only made a small mistake. Why would Auntie Ning be unwilling to forgive me? Is it because of this woman? Ningyu's attention then shifts to Bai Yan's face. Jealous fire burning in those eyes like she's going to engulf the target in flame. Biting her lips. I know Auntie Ning is unwilling to forgive me because of you, she can't face you otherwise. But know this, it is I and my Pa who accompanied her for all these years. Not her family or relatives. Bai Yan didn't say nothing, only staring down at the kneeling girl in silence. Perhaps that silence emboldened her. But Ningyu kept going and her tone was more confident than the last as well. They abandoned Auntie Ning before, so why are they showing up suddenly? It would have been better if they never appeared. That last bit made Bai Yan narrow her eyes in because she had caught onto something in her words. Ningyuan knows I'm Bai Ning's real daughter, that's true. But why is this Ningyu also so certain? Based on my face alone can't prove anything unless these two have met prior to this gathering. Then that's when a plan hatches itself in the lady's mind once she thought up to here. Mother, in the end this Ningyu did stay with you for many years. For that, I will show mercy today and only throw her out. Afterwards, she and you will have no connection ever again. Bai Ning actually became surprised by the lenient judgment. Yin'er, you're not going to dispose of her? Showing a faint grin in order to not let the girl pick up on her scheme. It's fine, I can handle this. She can leave now. Bai Ning wanted to say more there, but when confronted with her daughter's reassuring smile, she ends up swallowing whatever words that's still in there. Alright, I won't get involved with this matter then. She then casts one final glance at the tearful-looking Ningyu and sighed. No matter what, Ningyu did accompany me for a long time. If you are going to do anything, I hope you can do it swiftly so she doesn't suffer. Ningyu's eyes dilated wide in horror, not daring to look up to Bai Ning as her lips trembled in disbelief. Auntie Ning. That's all the girl could mutter out while she sobbed and despaired under her own doing. Sadly for her, the lady didn't give another glance her way with those closed eyes, which only made the situation all the more painful. Seeing things have come to this point with no possible return, Ningyu slowly got up from the ground, her face bleak as a ghost. She naturally wanted to plead some more, but when confronted with the contemptible looks of all those around, she ends up walking for the outside instead to avoid those eyes. She let me down in the end. Bai Ning sighs after the petite figure went completely out of view. Perhaps the former Bai Ning would never have imagined she would turn her backs on the girl due to her behavior, but she has, and she too must live with the outcome. It's painful, but she knows this was the right choice. Dragonflame, go follow her. Bai Yin didn't say anything aside from giving this order, which earned her a begrudging stare from the old goat who unwillingly did as told. Now, due to the show being over, the crowds of onlookers also dispersed, leaving only Bai Ning and the rest. Casting the bait, too. Mother, why did you let her go? Bai Xiachen asks after tugging at his mother's sleeve. Rubbing the boy's head as a sign of reassurance, Bai Yin dons the familiar shallow smile of a scheming fox. We're using her as bait to lure out the big fish. Enlightened on his face, the little steam bun blooms a lovely smile in return. I understand then, mother is so thoughtful. Cast the bait to catch the big fish. The exchange between this mother and son has left Dragony Ho had also come down from the room all confused, blinking her big eyes. Mother, how come I can't understand what you and Gidge are saying? Are we going fishing? There's no need to go through that trouble. I can have those fish swim over to us instead. Thickening in her smile over that adorable comment, Bai Yin leans down to lift the little missy up. Don't worry. You will understand in the future. Oh? Still not quite getting it. Dragony nevertheless nodded her head like a good daughter that she was. Mother and Gidge is always right, I only need to listen. Meanwhile on the other side, Bai Ning has fallen into a contemplative state. Yen, are your intentions? She asks after thinking it through. Mother, there are some things you will only understand once your memories are restored, so I won't give you too much details. Restoring my memory? Quivering slightly in her posture, Bai Ning's eyes were full of excitement at that possibility. I can really restore my memories? I can remember my loved ones again? Bai Yin nodded affirmatively. I will find a way to restore your memories. Restoring a person's memory wasn't a difficult thing for her. She's only lacking the ingredients at the moment. Once she gets her hands on the necessary herbs and items, the task would be a piece of cake. Flushed red in the face over the wonderful future, Bai Ning had to take a good minute to calm herself as she spoke. Before Ning, you told me I lost my memories because I was both traumatized from being abandoned by my family and then severely injured, but I always felt like I wasn't and that they are waiting for me somewhere. I know they must be looking for me still. My heart has always told me that. During her entire speech, Bai Ning's gaze never once left Bai Yan's face like she's anticipating some sort of answer. However, the expected verbal replies never came. Rather, it's a physical reply in the form of a hug. Don't worry, your loved ones never abandoned you. They all love you very much. Grandfather by Changfeng never stopped thinking about mother after she disappeared, and uncle by Zhangpeng always searched for her everywhere as well despite his own illness. Both of them dearly wishes to reunite with her. And then there's father. He nearly lost his sanity because he yearned to be with mother after they separated. No matter, mother will know all this soon enough. Casting her eyes downward, Bai Ning's lips eventually drew a faint smile over those comforting words. I also believe they would never abandon me. The reason I kept pushing myself to grow stronger is because of that reason. It's to meet them one day. Yenner, do you know I've always had the same dream over and over again through all these years? In that dream, I was running around carrying a blood-soaked baby, and I remember the child's appearance. She was so cute, just like a doll, smooth and pearly white, totally different from those crumpled-up faces of other babies. Casting the bait 3. That's why I always suspected I had a daughter prior to my memory loss, and it's also the reason why I turned my feelings of that to Ningyu. Perhaps she also felt my emotions and reacted. That's why she's finding this so unfair and did what she did. Bai Ning sighed at the thought. I've really made a mistake and shouldn't have done what I did. Now that girl will suffer a hurt for a lifetime because of me. If only I had been a bit colder, not taken care of her so much, then perhaps her heart wouldn't have mistaken me for a mother. Yenner, all of this is my fault in the end. If you really want to take her life, I hope you can give her a swift death and not make it painful, okay? Bai Yin mildly nodded towards that guilty expression. Okay, I promise you. Bai Ning's heart undoubtedly became relieved somewhat over that reassurance. I do not know whether it's my misconception or not, but I always felt very close to you and Xiachen. This kind of closeness is different from the type with Ningyu who kept me company for many years. Perhaps, maybe, just maybe, you might be my missing daughter. Bai Yin instantly went stiff over that frankness and almost blurted out the truth. Mother, am I not your daughter now? Xiachen is also your grandson. No matter what, She's intent on coming forward with the truth only after Bai Ning regains her past memories. Otherwise, the possibility of things turning out wrong would be a real possibility. This wasn't just Bai Yin being overly cautious. Rather, it's from what she learned from the medical books she read about patients who were suddenly confronted with facts that they themselves would find suspicious and traumatic. Swish, swish, swish. Exactly then, a huge gust of wind blew in from the entrance, causing the windows and doors to flap and rattle non-stop. Bai Yin first pricked her brows at the sudden intrusion, but her puzzlement soon turned to surprise at the sight of an elderly individual who came in, followed closely by a huge number of demons littering the streets. Yinner! Bai Ning reacted immediately and cried out, shielding her daughter with her own body from the unknown demons. Who are you people? The elder acted like he didn't hear the lady's question and made a bow to Bai Yin and her children. Queen Prince, His Majesty tasked me to come find you. He's been missing you dearly during your times of absence. Bang! From out of the blue without giving any warning, a swinging punch had come flying at the unsuspecting elder and hit him dead in the stomach. Groaning from shock at being attacked, the senior's first reaction was to stare at his assailant. In that moment, his brain literally exploded in a flash. Who is this woman? Why is she so similar to Her Highness in appearance? And that expression, it's like, I'm some sort of great villain. This first elder rigidly turns to Bai Yin in order to seek some sort of answer. Queen she is. Twitching in the corner of her mouth, the demon queen almost didn't know how to reply. She is my mother. Staring wide in astonishment, first elder wanted to cry foul. Why is the queen's mother attacking me? Did I offend her in some way? Why would she attack me as soon as I arrive? Just when the poor puzzling elder was still pondering on his own course of action in this case, Bai Ning had already reached over to the side and smashed a leg off of a chair to use as her weapon. Aggressive and intimidating in her stance. How dare you people still come find my daughter? Casting the bait for. Am I not supposed to come find Her Highness? Why is the queen's mother so angry? This have I done something? First elder asks with an aggrieved face. Mother? Bai Yin tried to explain but was promptly cut off by the powerful look from her own mother. You don't have to say anything. Today no one is allowed to take you away. Before I wasn't around so these people were able to pick on you and my grandson, but not anymore. Pick on the queen and the prince? Twitching in the corner of his mouth, first elder couldn't complain about half of that because it's partially true. The king picking on the prince is true, but when have the king picked on the queen? It can't be. The queen's mother found out about that incident where someone impersonated the king and drove the queen away and hurt the young prince? Thinking up to here, the elder hurriedly wiped away the trickle of sweat from his forehead. Madam Bai, it's a misunderstanding, I can explain. Explain what? Bai Ning furiously swings the chair leg around in the air until she eventually locks it point blank into first elder's face. You bunch drove my daughter and grandson out from their home first, so don't come asking them back just because you feel like it. Scram. All of you scram. Out of consideration for my daughter's sake, I won't hurt any of you. But if you continue to stay and make trouble, then don't blame me for not being kind. Bai Yan's face was pitch black at this point over what's being said. She naturally knew her son had said plenty of bad things about Ditsong in front of her mother Bai Ning, but because this level of a reaction was, well, damning. So, after looking at the dumbfounded and nervous first elder, she then turns to her mother and said, Mother, it's all Xiaqin's nonsense, Ditsong Yinner, I know you can't let go of that man and want to defend him, but I will never let him hurt you anymore. My daughter is the best in the world, so you will be matched with the best, of course. If he breaks your heart, then why should you keep him inside? In Bai Ning's view, her son-in-law must be impeccable in order to match her impeccable daughter. Anything lesser would be an instant out. But mother, everything really isn't like that. It's Xiaqin stretching the story. Growing urgent now, Bai Yin continues to defend her husband before things get completely out of hand. You don't need to keep defending him, Yinner. How old is Xiaqin? There's no way he would lie. From what I can see, these people are only here to take you back without caring for you. Don't worry, I won't let them get their way and make you suffer again. When a person's face goes so dark that it's turning white, you know things are getting desperate, and that's exactly what's happening to Bai Yin in this case. Xiaqin, hurry and explain the matter to your grandmother. The poor lady almost sounded pleading to her own boy. Oh, puckering his lip, the boy begrudgingly did as told using his innocent face. Grandmother, my father is actually not bad. Although I hate it when he keeps my mother's attention all to himself, but he's sincere to us nevertheless. Really? Said Bai Ning with a doubtful voice. Due to all the salt added by the boy during their time together, the grandmother had a lot of trouble believing Deedsong to be a good person. Heck, she still didn't believe but won't go against the boy's cuddly and innocent face. Bai Xiaochen nodded in earnest. I wanted to stay with you, so I made the story up about us being mistreated by Batty father. Grandmother, I really like you. Can you become our family for real? Casting the bait 5. When facing such a lovely doll of a little boy, Bai Ning's heart could literally melt away from his cuteness, so how could she refuse him? Xiaochen, we're already a family, your mother is my daughter, and you're my grandchild. Bai Ning's eye then gently squinted into a narrow slit as a touch of frost beamed out of them. Also, even if you say that, I still don't trust him. If he really cares for my daughter, then why is he not personally coming to pick you all up? Hurrying to speak up to answer that, First Elder didn't want any further misunderstanding. Queen, you have to believe in the king. He's been direly missing you these days while you were missing. We came as soon as he sensed your energy signature, however. He had to leave in the middle due to something diverting his attention. Something happened? Clenching up in her heart, Bai Yin rushes over to grasp onto the elder's shoulder. Did Deedsong get hurt? With her knowledge and understanding of her husband, she's certain Deedsong would have came in person if he could. The fact that he left midway must be because of something important and urgent. The king wasn't hurt, and I don't know what exactly happened either. In the end, the elder decides to keep his mouth shut due to the orders he's been given prior. Despite the lack of details, Bai Yin did feel relieved her husband wasn't injured. It's good that he's not hurt, that's good. Bai Ning didn't miss her daughter's expression, of course, and grew aggravated over how easily she flew to the man's defense, glaring with her eagle eyes at the old man. If he wants my daughter back, then he better come in person to show his sincerity. I won't let my daughter go otherwise. Now scram. Making a difficult face. Queen. Drawing a smile after calming herself as well over the good news. It's okay, First Elder, I'm fine where I am. I want to spend some more time with my mother for now. Since the queen herself has spoken, there's no reason for the elder to stick around. Arching his fist. Then I'll go back first and report this to the king. If your highness wish to go back, then his majesty will be here in person. Bai Yin nods with a faint smile. Until my mother regains her memory of the past, I won't leave. By the way, pass on a message to Deedsong for me. If he has something important to do, then he can come later. There's no need to hurry. Yes, Queen. When the elder received his orders to leave, he and his demon guards were soon scattered and gone, leaving only an empty street in their wake. Mother. Bai Yin breaks out into a giggling chuckle after finding Bai Ning still steaming on the face. Deitsong is not that kind of person. Snorting at that defense. He better not be. My daughter can only bully others, never be bullied. If that guy is bad to you, then I won't let you two be together even if I draw your hate. What of breaking a couple with a stick? As long as the man shows any sign of wrongdoing, I will take Yenner away from him and keep them apart. My daughter must be loved for a lifetime. Bai Yin naturally knew Bai Ning was looking out for her by reacting this way, so she didn't say anything hurtful. Besides, she knows the lady would understand her husband's sincerity soon enough. Casting the bait 6. Meanwhile, not far away in a mountainous forest, Chu Yifeng was partially leaning down against a tree due to his body being so weak and pale. Thank you. Half a moment later. These words of gratitude were what broke the silence in the forest. Despite this, the man standing there and looking down didn't respond right away, only continuing to make his expressionless face. Seeing the man won't talk, Chu Yifeng dons a faint smile and continued to speak on his own accord. Me being injured, I hope you can keep it a secret from Yenner. That finally drew a reaction from Deetsong, who came to his aid after diverting partway to meet his wife. Don't worry, I'm not so stupid to do that. You are injured because of her. If she finds out, then she will certainly come to your side to care for you. I am a man. Naturally, I won't want my woman to tend to others. Chu Yifeng's body went stiff over that hurtful statement, making him look all the more frail under the slight breeze. But you helped me in the end. I saved you for Yenner's sake, so don't mistake me. If anything happens to you, then she will undoubtedly be saddened knowing her character. I do not want to see a drop of tear from her. He only wants her to smile all her life, never to shed a drop of tear. That means even if the other person was Chu Yifeng, his one-time love rival, Ditsong would still help him and not turn a blind eye. Besides, you saved Yenner many times as her husband. It's only right I repay her debt, so no need to thank me. The faint smile finally disappeared from Chu Yifeng's face following that, replaced only by a bittersweet flavor because those words were like knives, piercing into his heart at every turn. I am not worried with Yenner marrying you, and I hope in the future you can always treat her like you are doing now. Suppressing the sadness in his heart, the young handsome man then got sharp when confronting the Demon King's gaze. But if I know you are to ever make her sad, I will use all my means to steal her back from you. Because of her happiness, he was willing to let go. Now and into the future, for her happiness as well, he's willing to steal her back if she's ever saddened. I can give you that promise. In this life I will love her with me all, never to allow a trace of sadness to plague her. Ditsong's voice was firm and strong, leaving no room for doubt in his vow. Perhaps he was pleased to hear that oath, or he's finally regained enough strength. But Chu Yifeng gradually and sloppily got up from the ground. Due to how unstable he was, the young man had to lean against the trunk still in order to keep his posture. Also, you have to be careful of a certain person. Who? Ditsong asks with alarm in his voice. Yenner should have met him already. He's a man that looks very much like me. You have to be careful with him and not let Yenner get hurt. That brought the Demon King's voice down to a frosty chill. Do you know something that I don't? I only came across the information not long ago but can't confirm it yet. Chu Yifeng smiles wryly as he looked the man dead in the eye. Ditsong, I gave Yenner to you, so you must protect her at all cost. There are some things I can't tell you now, but you and her will naturally find out on your own. Gradually leaving the tree behind himself, the young lord of the Holy Land didn't give another glance backwards, only slowly trudging forwards into the inner depths of the mountain. Oh, sire. An old figure eventually descends from the sky after Ditsong was left alone again. His voice respectful and compliant. Ning Yuan's lover one? Where's my wife? Asked Ditsong with a frown after turning around. Sire, I am incompetent, failed to bring Her Highness back with me. But rest assured, she and the prince is very safe. They're currently staying with the queen's mother. Yin Yan's mother. Raising his brow. Yin Yan's mother is also there. Can it be she's found her birth mother? If this is the case, Yin Yan's most worried subject can finally be put to rest. But, First Elder then looked up to meet the loosening expression of the king. Apparently the queen's mother has some kind of misconception about you, sire. She demands you to go pick up the queen yourself if you wish to retrieve her. Expressionless still. I understand, you can go back first. Yes, sire. When the elder's old figure finally departed, Ditsong also went ahead to take his leave, heading straight into the dense shrubbery for his intended destination. Inside a well-hidden cave of a valley where combat took place, Ning Yuan was struggling to get himself up from the dirty ground when he pulled at his wounds again, causing a layer of sweat to come forward as result. That fucking bitch, sooner or later I'll snap and break her apart for what she did to me. After swearing that to himself, this scum who wanted to take Bai Yan's life but got injured instead turned sinister in his face. But, I have already given you her that poison. I bet she's succeeded by now. Once that bitch is gone, then no one will ever know what I have done. It's a shame though, perhaps this time I will have to sacrifice you her. But that's fine, as long as I can get Ninger to stay by my side forever, then sacrificing a daughter is nothing. I can always make more like her. It's then a slight rustling sound came from the front entranceway of the cave. How did the matter go with you? Ning Yuan snickers and asked the figure who entered into his view. The newcomer was a woman wearing a long yellow dress, her skin fair and white, and that face truly worthy of a prize without any blemishes. If there's any fault, it would be that expression that's tinged with the look of grief. Brother Yuan, Bai Ning never liked you from the start. Why do you keep clinging on to her? You will never understand my feelings. From the very first day I met Ninger, I have vowed to make her mine, even if the price is great. I will have her as mine. There's absolute determination in those eyes when the scum said that. Clenching her fist in frustration from that statement, the woman in yellow pleads again. But Yor is your daughter. Isn't it too dangerous to have her carry out a task like that? So are you implying you can and she can't? Ning Yuan glances and sneered at the lady across from himself. Don't forget, I saved you only because I wanted you to help care for my daughter while Ninger is not around. You are to never show yourself before her. If she ever learns of your existence, then I will not let you off, understand? I was wrong from the very beginning. I should not have gone to fuck another woman in a vain attempt at rousing jealousy from Ninger. That only backfired and ruined any chances I had. Thankfully she eventually lost her memory and forget everything. I won't let this second chance pass me again, never. Ning Yuan's lover, too. Since it was not easy to get the chance, he naturally wouldn't allow other females to appear by his side. This was also the reason why Bai Ning never discovered this other woman who has been around for so long. She had always hidden herself from view. The outburst hurt the lady in yellow greatly, of course. She simply never thought her own existence would be so pitiful despite sticking with this man for so many years. Seemingly becoming aware of the effects his words had on the lady, Ning Yuan's tone promptly softened up as he continued. Lu Xian, as long as you keep to my will, then you are still my woman. However, if she finds out about you, then you can't stay around anyways, do you understand? Pursing her lips, Lu Xian didn't give a reply to the man because it stung knowing she's second fiddle. Truth was, from the very beginning that she followed him, she had known her own fate wouldn't be great. Nothing but a sex toy for Ning Yuan to vent his lust, but even so, she went ahead with that decision due to her love for him. Tell me first, Lu Xian, did that girl die yet from the poison I gave you? Ning Yuan's gaze was burning with a dark light when asking that, showing how much he hated Bai Yan from the hearts down. Growing paler at the topic over the dreaded topic, Lu Xian met the man's gaze with her own, the man whom she followed without regret for the past decade and more. Yor was afraid of being exposed, so she didn't poison that woman. Instead she got someone to go make trouble for that by Yan using her own plan. Brother Yuan, please don't be mad with her, but Yor was exposed on the spot when she tried that. Now she's been driven out of the inn and can no longer go back. Ning Yuan's happy face instantly crumbled, replaced only by a distorted outrage on the face. How dare she go against my will? I told her to poison that bitch, did she not hear me clearly? Why didn't she poison her? Lu Xian didn't know what to say right now because this sort of behavior was a first for the man. Ignoring whether Ning Yuan was sincere about Ningyu. She's still his biological daughter. Never has he ever beaten the girl, so imagine him lashing out because she didn't listen? That's something completely out of the norm. Brother Yuan, she's afraid. Lu Xian attempts to defend Ningyu due to her own fondness for the lass. Quit defending her. You think just because of that reasoning that she can disobey me and do something that's stupid? Do you think those people won't notice her stupidity? The more he spoke, the more outraged the scum became. Where's Yor now? Why didn't that woman kill her? Shaking her head. That woman did not kill her, only kicking her out. Brother Yuan, Yor already suffered a lot this time, she has. Shut up. Ning Yuan snaps, his eyes raging with madness. That girl disobeyed me, so she might as well die for it. If not for Ninger liking her so much, I would have strangled her at birth just like what I did to her mother. He only likes Bai Ning and whatever children she would bore him. As for any other like Ningyu, they are unimportant and nothing but tools in his eye. It's obvious to this scum that girl was no longer needed if she couldn't be of use, meaning he won't leave her alive anymore, just like her birth mother. Wait. Did you say Bai Yan let her go? Eventually Ning Yuan regains his composure like a predator sensing danger. That's right. The lady carefully nodded, unsure why he would ask for confirmation. Sneering. Although I didn't interact with that bitch a lot, but I can at least tell she's not one to leave those who cross her alone. So why did she let Yor go? Ning Yuan's lover 3. Lu Xian clamped her lips tightly and didn't say another word. She's got this feeling that the man before herself was very strange to the point where she couldn't recognize him anymore. Not good. Ning Yuan's expression suddenly changed for a whiter shade as she glared at the lady. Did you tell Yor where I am? Startled at first, Lu Xian eventually decides to speak knowing she must. I left a mark for her so she could find us. Bang! Throwing a punch without any sign, Ning Yuan was furious as he watched the lady fly out across the air and landing several meters away into the weeds. But that clearly wasn't enough. Before the lady could react and look up, the scum was already in front of her and dragged her off the ground by the collar. Who allowed you to leak my whereabouts to her? Do you think that Bai Yan is some idiot that would let her go? She is only using you to get to me. What you did is the same as sending me onto the death road. She was already in quite the pain due to that punch, but the explanation from the scum completely left Lu Xian dumbfounded. Half a ring later, she slowly mutters out her response. Then what should we do, Brother Yuan? If my speculations are right, you should be here soon. Damn it. Distorted in his face, Ning Yuan wanted to leave right away but couldn't when that excited voice reached over from his rear. Pa! The voice was full of sorrow and anger, but mostly grievance when crying out to the scum. Ning Yuan naturally didn't find the reunion pleasant like a father meeting his daughter would. Rather, there's an unbridled fury burning in those eyes. In an instant, the man had shot out his feelers to search for signs of the enemy. Fortunately for him, he found none, and that brought on a sense of relief. Pa, I finally found you. Ning Yu apparently didn't notice the oddity in her father's behavior, and rushed over in rapid strides. To this petite girl, Ning Yuan was her only and recognized true family, therefore the tenseness in her heart was elevated the moment she saw that powerful back. However, beyond what she expected, the second she got close enough to jump into the man for a hug, Ning Yu had found her face being smacked with a hand instead, leaving her cheeks painfully swollen from the impact. Pa! She blubbers this word out after being stunned by the stinging pain. To be clear, never in her lifetime has Ning Yu been hit by her father. This was the first, also likely the last. You still dare to come back? Ning Yuan lashes out at his daughter, his finger pointing. Why did you not do as I say? Now you want me to clean up your mess? Ning Yu's body quivered at the accusation, her lips stuttering as she spoke. Pa, I told you I am scared. Scared? What use are you then? Can't even do a little thing like that. I've wasted all those years raising you. Red in the eyes, the scum has lost all reasoning when yelling at his own daughter, and left the girl's heart shattered to pieces. Ning Yu's despair won. Pa, you can't mean that. I am your daughter, your closest kin. Even if I am no longer useful, I am still your blood. Family? Ha! Ning Yuan loudly snickers a sneer. If not for Ninger liking you so much back then, would I have left you behind? Your use is nothing more than to please her. Aside from that, you are absolutely useless. Now get out of sight, my sight, the further the better. You made such a stupid mistake, so don't go dragging me down with you. If this lass continues to stay, then that Bai Yan will surely find her way to this place. In any case, I can't keep her around. No. Ning Yu clings onto the scum's sleeve like she's grabbing onto her only lifeline. Pa, you can't leave me, you can't. What am supposed to do without you? Auntie Ning already doesn't want me. I can't be without family. Scram! Bang! Slamming his palm against the girl's chest, Ning Yu went flying as a result of the strike, only stopping after slamming into a nearby boulder. As a result of the pain, Ning Yu could barely keep her face in check and grew ghostly white. Match that with the tears on her face, the once proud girl dons a picture of pathetic pity. Lu Xian quickly ran over to help the girl from the floor, her eyes full of aching pain. Are you all right? Your father is only too angry right now, so don't take his words too seriously. But out of expectation, instead of being thankful for the aid, Ning Yu pushes the hand away like she's touching something dirty. You go away. When did my family's matter need a bedwarming maid like you to get involved? Don't think just because you took care of me when I was a child that you can act like my mother. I didn't. I really do love you. Who allowed you to call me Yor? I don't need your pity. I told you my mother can only be by Ning. Who do you think you are? In a fit of rage, Ning Yu began pounding away at the lady's chest, both scolding and scratching like a mad cat. Don't think just because you slept with my pa that you can be his woman. I won't recognize your identity. My Auntie Ning is not only strong, she also has an extremely powerful demonic beast at her summoning. What do you have? With your strength, you're not even qualified to be a maid. Since the lass didn't dare to throw her anger at Ning Yuan over there, the only other option was to vent at Lu Xian, who seemed more vulnerable. Luxian didn't say anything against the abuse though, only staring at the scum with eyes of pleading, hoping the man would change his mind about abandoning the girl. What are you still doing there? Hurry up and leave with me. If you pity her, then you can stay here instead. I don't need you to service me anymore. To emphasize his words, the scum actually snickers a laugh like the ones in front of him were nothing but baggage. Ning Yu's despair, too. Though Luxian wasn't as beautiful as Bai Ning in appearance, but she's still a first-class beauty, hence the reason Ning Yuan never drove her away and only hidden her from sight. He has sexual needs too, and she's the perfect venting hole for that. As for Ning Yu, well, nothing but a daughter. He could make plenty more once he gets his hands on Bai Ning. He's young, strong, and plentiful down there. What does a daughter or two matter to him? Luxian knew of this fact, of course, so after a final pitiful glance at the lass, the lady also grew firm and gave up to leave for the scum's side. Against the abandonment from all those whom she knew, Ning Yu finally began to panic and quickly clung onto the lady's sleeve. Don't go, don't leave me alone, I'm afraid. Auntie Ning already left me, are you also going to leave me? Luxian's body stiffened at that plead, but once her eyes met with the scum's who had clearly grown impatient at this point, the lady could only sigh and shirk off the desperate hand. Dreading with fear, Ning Yu didn't dare to stay down, knowing she might really be abandoned and chased after the two. Pa, please take me along, I promise to be good from now on, please, please, I don't want to stay here alone. Despite the crying tears and constant words from his own blood, Ning Yuan felt nothing and didn't leave a single speck of his attention behind. Gradually, his figure was disappearing from view, leaving only the crumbling and despairing-faced Ning Yu in the background. However, in the moment before the scum completely disappears and flees from the valley, a low and old-sounding laughter rumbles through the sky, sending a chill through Ning Yuan's skin. Who? Spinning around, he searches for the voice but found nothing. But he didn't need to search, in fact. The voice came to him when that old figure emerged from his illusionary hiding. She's right, just following this lass will lead me to you sooner or later. Dragon Flame sarcastically states this. It's as Ning Yuan suspected. Bai Yan did have the old goat tail the petite girl since her departure, knowing fully well she would search out her father after being driven out. It's you, the scum exclaims, his fist crunching and his eyes burning with fury. Just now I clearly checked to see if someone followed her. How did you hide your energy signature? Snickering a sneer. That woman is an alchemist. Why are you acting so surprised about me hiding myself from your senses? Dragon Flame wouldn't admit Bai Yan as her mistress, so he would never address her as such. Hence the disrespect. Ning Yuan's expression went a shade whiter at knowledge. Without hesitation, he bites his teeth and yelled, "We're leaving now." Luxian didn't respond right away against the speeding back of the scum, only looking back at the despairing Ning Yu in the background. However, in order to save her own life, she could only bear the merciful side of her consciousness and give up on the girl. She may like the lass, but she values her own life more in this situation. That's just human nature. Ning Yu's despair 3. Want to flee? Dragon Flame snorted, his figure disappearing in a flash and blocking off the scum up ahead. Outraged, Ning Yuan lashes out. What the hell are you trying to do? Trying to hurt that Bai Yan is that girl, it has nothing to do with me. If you want the one responsible, then it's her you want, not me. Those words surely reached Ning Yu's ear, and sure enough, the girl's eyes were lifeless then as she stared up to the man whom she considered her closest kin. My biological father is actually making me pay for his crime? How laughable. So this is called affection? The love he showed me are all lies? He only cared for me is because he didn't want to break Auntie Ning's heart. And I hurt and disappointed the only person who truly cared for me. I hurt Auntie Ning. I'm so foolish, I'm so foolish. Perhaps the situation has caused the petite girl to completely give up on life. Despite the great opportunity to flee for her own life, she actually didn't move and stayed motionless on the ground. Dragon Flame could care less about the woes of some insignificant brat, of course, and went for the parts that hurt in her words. I remember this girl is your daughter, is she not? Pointing to Ning Yu, who was still lying on the floor in a stupor state. It looks like you humans are just as ruthless as ever, things never change. In order to save your own life, you will even abandon your own flesh and blood. One of the main reasons the old goat hated humanity was because of their cruelty and lack of affection for one another, so he detested the scum even more now. Unfazed by the mockery, Ning Yuan draws a contemptuous smirk in retaliation. You're only talking big because you and that Chui Feng teamed up to fight me. Now that I'm injured and can't fight, you dare to act all arrogant? Don't think I'm some pushover. Glaring in his eyes now. And what if I'm ruthless? In this world, feelings are nothing but tools to me. There are only those who are useful to me and not useful. Since she's in the latter category of being useless, she can only blame herself for being born my daughter. The way the scum said that sounded righteously smooth because the bastard never once considered his logic flawed. Then what about Bai Ning? The old goat snickers and asks again, pointing out in the hypocrisy in the scum's words. Sure enough, Ning Yuan became choked for words and didn't reply. He may call other people tools for him to use, but regarding Bai Ning, he truly did love her, though twisted and wrong he still does. Perhaps the lady was the only existence in this world where this scum didn't have ulterior motives in mind. Ninger is not the same. She is good and beautiful. I would never hurt her. If she wasn't so distant to me back then, I wouldn't have slept with Yuer's mother either. I only wanted to provoke jealousy in her. But that was a mistake when I ended up making that slut pregnant. Growing increasingly more frustrated on his face. At the beginning I wanted to abort the baby, but then Ninger found out about the situation and advised me to keep it. Humph, I may have kept the baby alive to please my Ninger, but that doesn't mean I will leave that slut alone. The baby only needs one mother, and it will be my one and only Ninger. When the petite girl on the ground finally heard the last bit about only needing one mother, her heart promptly stopped beating like someone squeezed on it and ripped it out. Ning Yu's despair for. Those last words echoed in Ning Yu's head, causing her brain to want to explode from pain. Suddenly, the girl lost all sanity and crouched down with her hands wrapped around her head as she cried out in agony. Betrayal has always been the poison which hurts the most. For Ning Yu, she's suffering exactly that right now. She had always believed her mother died while trying to give birth to herself, and that the woman was a slut who seduced her own father in order to climb up the ranks of society. Now it turns out everything was a lie? All because her old man wanted to please her Auntie Ning? Curling up into a clump, the girl's existence seems to weaken further until it's but a flicker after going through all those thoughts. Ho! Dragon Flame sarcastically ticked his lips into a snarl after glancing down to the ground and saw what's happening. It looks like you humans are more ruthless and crueler than I thought. From what I see, your feelings for that Bai Ning is just as fake as the rest. You're only conniving after her beauty and talent. If she turns ugly and talentless overnight, I bet you won't even bat an eyelash then. Ning Yuan's body froze in that instant because the very idea never even crossed the scum's brain. Talentless and ugly? My Ninger? Impossible, what ludicrous nonsense. Quit spouting crap. The scum grits his teeth in annoyance. My Ninger is so outstanding, whatever you said won't ever come to pass. Also, she will soon be mine, you hear? That's right, this guy is spouting nonsense, whatever he says is impossible. How can I not like my Ninger when she's so amazing? Right as he thought up to there, Ning Yuan suddenly realized something was up upon seeing the face the old goat was making. Going white in his expression. Are you waiting for that Bai Yen to come? Not confirming or rebutting the idea, Dragon Flame continues to press the issue to divert his attention. Let me guess, that Bai Ning's memory loss is also your doing. Am right? Ha ha ha. Sure enough, Ning Yuan breaks out into a maniacal laugh upon being provoked by the subject. So what if I'm the one who did it? I wanted her to stay by my side, but she kept insisting on leaving to be with her husband and daughter despite everything that I did. Closing his eyes, the scum seems to be recalling back to the past that brought forth the inner rage he's been suppressing over the years. I'll never forget the first time I saw her. She just lost her daughter and was covered in blood by the time I came across her, yet she still tried to go back to her family. I only sealed her memories for her sake, it's all for her. That's right, I did everything for her because I love her too much. Perhaps the scum had said too much there. But by now Ning Yu had stopped holding her own head on the ground and gradually crawled up to meet that man whom she considered her own father. She's still showing the same stupor of earlier, but her inner workings of the brain had stopped and left her in a blank state. Ning Yu's despair. 5. Auntie Ning's amnesia. Isn't it because of her being abandoned by her daughter and husband? Pa, please tell me that's not true. Ning Yu's voice shook with fear, afraid of what the answer would be. Cold and disheartening in his face, Ning Yuan openly snorted like a contemptuous wolf. What are you staring at? Yes, what he said is true, so what? Whatever I do is out of love for her. I have no fault. Boom! Like a sunny day being blown away, Ning Yu's last ounce of faith has finally collapsed, just like a believer being told their religion was false. Tightly clamping her face in dread, tears trickled downwards like pearls. How did this happen? Aunt Ning wasn't abandoned by her husband and daughter, but forcibly kidnapped by Pa and made to forget her past? What have I done? How could I have ever thought about pairing Auntie Ning with a scum like him? Pa, how can you treat Auntie Ning like this? Ning Yu forces this out, her lips trembling with emotions. She has always thought that it was herself keeping Bai Ning company over the years. That's why she felt so entitled to being the lady's daughter and inheriting that powerful demonic beast. But it turns out that's not true at all. Rather, it's the polar opposite. In fact, if not for the lady's kindness, she herself wouldn't even be able to enjoy the years of life so far. She would have died under the cruel hands of this scum. At the end of the day, it's not her Auntie Ning who owes her. It's she owing that woman for the kindness in life. I've said what I need to say, and you, Ning Yuan suddenly turns his scowl into a mocking sneer, can forget about leaving. Squinting his eyes into a narrow slit, the old goat revealed a flash of frost in his eyes. What do you mean by that? Haha. You're asking what I mean? While you're stalling for time, I was also waiting for someone else. Otherwise, why else would I stay to say all this to you? Let me tell you the truth. I've already promised those keepers from the Celestial Palace that if I hand over that demonic beast under Ninger's control, then they will help me marry her. Clearly at this point the scum would do anything to get his hands on the lady, even if it means offering her up to the enemy. You're crazy. Ning Yu's expression greatly changed. Pa, you will kill Auntie Ning by doing that. Those people hate her to the core. There's no way they would let her go. Even if Bai Ning would no longer stay with her, the petite girl still holds the woman as her own family. After all, she did fill the girl's hole of lacking maternal love over the years. Do you think I can still smoothly get her with that Bai Yin around? Ninger's strength is very strong. Unless I get the help of those keepers, then I can forget about marrying her. I can't worry about so much anymore. The scum also took a lot of effort when coming to this decision. To be fair though, seeking help from the Celestial Palace was only a backup plan. If Ningyu had done what she was tasked to do and poisoned Bai Yan, then he would have left those keepers hanging dry. But obviously that wasn't the case, so he's going to go through with this. Not good. Dragonflame seems to sense something. Going a bit white in his complexion, he hurriedly looks up and discovered why. There's an old figure wearing a grayish robe above his head. Ningyu's despair 6. Where's Bai Ning? The one speaking was an elderly old man with a very arrogant voice, but those words carried power like drumming thunder in a stormy night, leaving those with weaker bodies suffering from the shockwave. Keeper Ling, Bai Ning will soon be here, please wait. Pa! Ningyu cries out in a panic. You're really going to kill Auntie at this rate? You shut up. The scum snaps. I do not need you pointing your fingers around to dictate how I do things. You are unworthy. Being called unworthy despite being the man's own blood was damning for Ningyu. Completely crumbling to the ground again, she felt powerless and alone in this world right now. She had no family left at this point, not a father, not a mother, and not a single dear friend she could turn to. Is this girl your daughter? Keeper Ling asks after casting a glance down below. Ningyuan nodded. Yes, is there something you need by asking? Nothing, I only want to know her relationship with Bai Ning. Squinting his gaze then, a flash of coldness flickered in the keeper's eye. This time it did not need the scum to reply because Lu Xian had recovered from the initial shockwave. Hurrying to speak. Respected keeper, please don't misunderstand. Yuer and that Bai Ning is not close. Just earlier that woman had expelled Yuer from her side, so they no longer have any relationship. For Ningyu, she hated the fact that her relationship had crashed hard with her Auntie Ning. To be pointed out like that only infuriated the girl and didn't win any positive points. What are you talking about? Auntie Ning will always be my mother in my heart. Even if she drove me away, I will find a chance to return to her side and never leave her. Yuer. Sweating buckets on the forehead, Lu Xian kept giving the girl eye signals to make her stop. Sadly, despite the goodwill, Ningyu continued to ignore it and kept going like she's lost it. Why do you care so much about me when you're nothing but a maid? Now that my father doesn't want me, you have no reason to please me anymore. Nor will I take your affection. Going white in the face, Lu Xian could already feel the temperature dropping around Keeper Ling's existence. Hurrying forward, the lady attempts to pull the girl up and leave before it's too late. You go away, I don't want your fake kindness. Using her best effort to push the lady away, Ningyu manages to get up from the ground on her own. If it wasn't for Pa lying to me, making me believe Auntie Ning's daughter abandoned her, I wouldn't have been driven away. But it doesn't matter, Auntie Ning will forgive me soon enough. She will then accept me and I will become her daughter as well. Seemingly realizing the truth now, Lu Xian looks on at the girl in front of herself with horror. She's trying to seek death? That's right, after being driven away by Bai Ning at the inn, this petite girl who made so much mistakes in life only wanted to run back to her father for comfort. Never did she intend on taking her own life. However, well, the truth simply was too cruel for her young heart. Now the last straw keeping her soul in check has crumbled and she just wants to end it. End everything and leave this unbearable world. Ningyu's despair. 7. In this world no one truly loves me. Aside from Auntie Ning who did, my own father is bent on only using me. So what other reason do I have to live for when the last person who truly cares for me has left? I admit, part of me wanted to be Auntie Ning's daughter because of that demonic beast she held in her hands, but more of it was because I was unwilling to give her up to someone else. Why does some random stranger get to take her away from me when I've been with her for all these years? I always thought she owed me for that, but now I finally understand. It is I who owes her for everything kind that is in my life. Gently closing her eyes, a single drop of tear fell out of the corner to show how helplessly sad she was. If you want to die, then I will oblige you. A flash of killing intent filled Keeper Ling's gaze as he whisked his sleeve, shooting out a light beam towards Ningyu's figure. Perhaps the heart still feared death because Ningyu continued to tremble under the bristling wind of this valley. However, she's got no room left to escape at this point. Yet, the expected stinging pain never came. Finding this strange, she slowly wedged a slit in her tightly clamped eyelids and took a peek. To her shock, there's a slender figure standing in front of herself, pierced through the chest by that ray. In this second, this very moment, Ningyu couldn't feel her heart beating anymore as Lu Xian's body gradually fell down to the bushes like a withering rose. My feelings for you isn't fake, nor is it only for Brother Yuan's sake. He is one of the reasons, but also, for more than a decade, I've been watching over you from the shadows. There's no way I don't care for you. That said, the dying lady then shifts her gentle gaze over to the scum who still didn't move a step to help. Brother Yuan, I know you are not like that. If Yu dies then you'll regret it, so let me do this one last thing for you. Following those final words, the last spark of life now leaves the beauty's eye. Regret, pain and guilt poured into Ningyu's heart as she stared down at the pool of blood continuing to seep out of that lifeless body. Then in a sudden burst of anger, resentment filled those crying eyes as she herself confronted her own father, the very scum who did nothing to help. She sought that on her own. She can't blame anyone but herself for being so foolish. Ning Yuan only showed a glimpse of surprise at the enraged look from his own daughter before returning back to his old self. Understanding as much that she couldn't do anything, Ningyu was done with that man as well and no longer cared. Crouching down, her hands gently held onto Lu Xian's body as she cried her hearts out. I'm so sorry Auntie Lu. She did it again, making another dire mistake that costed her someone important. Ningyu's despair. 8. On this day, Ningyu seems to have matured a lot due to everything. However, there are no smiles left on her face, there's only hatred. Humans. Such a confusing race. Shaking his head after muttering that to himself, Dragon Flame returns his gaze to the keeper who's still looking down from above. Old fart, don't get so arrogant in front me. If I still had my previous strength then you wouldn't stand a fiddle in front of my eye. Humph. Keeper Ling huffs a snort. Blind and arrogant, what a hopeless creature you are. Nothing but a grain of rice. You will never compare to the sun in the sky like I. Unfazed by the put-down, the old goat scoffs a sneer of his own. How can the people of this age be this arrogant? In our time, No one would even dare to rant in front of me, the great dragon god. Likely annoyed now, Keeper Ling narrows his eyes in and released his aura out like a field, covering the entire field in a visible force. It's crushing for the old goat in his weakened state. However, as someone so proud and old as he, Dragonflame would never allow his dignity to be tarnished like this, and refused to bow down despite those legs shaking non-stop from the pressure. Against this struggling picture, Keeper Ling's smirk only grew wider and goaded him to increase that pressure. Arg! Issuing out a roar in retaliation, Dragonflame knew he had to do something and met the force field head-on with his own. Not far away, Bai Yan and Bai Ning were coming to the scene at great speed when their ears were suddenly hit with that rumbling roar. Not good. What's going on? Asked Bai Ning, who had stopped flying and showing a frown on her face. Serious as well, Bai Yan quickly explains. It is Dragonflame, he's likely in danger. Half Qing Sing, you go back to the inn and protect my kids. Me and my mother is enough. Dragonflame is in danger? The snake mutters to herself in surprise. That guy is so powerful, who can cause trouble for him? As curious as the snake was about the supposed enemy, she couldn't exactly refuse the order and retreated in the opposite way. Yenner, we should hurry then before it's too late. That said, Bai Ning didn't stick around and flew forward, reappearing with her afterimage several meters away already and continuing to go further with Bai Yan close on her tail. Back over in the secluded valley, the old goat's legs had already begun to bend in an unnatural way due to the pressure coming down on his head. It's excruciatingly painful, almost unbearable even. But the ancient monster never once wavered in his determination to not kneel. I, Dragonflame, will never kneel before a human. You can't humiliate me. Gritting his teeth, the old goat became even more ferocious in the eye as fire burned in them. If it was in the past, a puny human like you would never dare to cross me, the great dragon god. But just because I've been locked away for so long that you insects would act all arrogant before me? Just you wait, I will make you pay for everything today once I regain my full strength. Suddenly, before the old goat could react due to his attention being occupied, a figure wearing a pearly white dress had come before him. Next thing he knew, the force had been dispersed following a wave from the lady. Despite being free, the strain on his legs remains, causing Dragonflame to sit paralyzed on the ground as he gasped for air. Ning used despair 9, likely finding his own behavior shameful. Dragonflame hurried to gather his composure after a few more breaths and got up again, all the while never once removing his stare up at the keeper. Auntie Ning. The appearance of Bai Ning brought hope to Ning Yu's heart. Hurrying up from the ground as well, she wanted to run over and embrace that motherly figure in her heart. However, the appearance of Bai Yan that came right afterwards sent her shuddering through the body. Those eyes were all sour and jealous over the fact. It's true this petite girl has come to terms with the truth that Bai Yan may not have deliberately abandoned Bai Ning in the past, but it doesn't change her feelings toward the other side because that meant she won't. You? Keeper Ling originally had an unimpressed face despite being interrupted, but his annoyance soon changed to horror and shock at Bai Yan's face. In fact, he actually lost his breath over this encounter. It's you. How is this possible? How is this woman still alive? I clearly destroyed her soul back then, how can she be here now? And what's with her calling Bai Ning her mother? Surprised as well at being called out, Bai Yan pricks her brow at the foe. You know me. Humph. Expressionless on his face, Keeper Ling waves dismissively. You are a scourge to the celestial realm. Even if you turn to ash, I will still recognize you. But why are you still alive? I clearly destroyed your soul back then. I should have known it's her. Otherwise, why else would the celestial lord warn us not to interfere? This is all because of this woman. She already did enough damage back then, now she wants to do it again. You're from the celestial palace? That's right, I am Keeper Ling of the Celestial Palace. The elder boldly states his title. Oh, then you're the ones who want to slaughter the demons and kill White Tiger and the rest? Bai Yan asks again with her usual calm demeanor but with a tinge of killing intent showing. Slightly taken aback by that question, Keeper Ling actually scowled. It seems you still remember the past. Those are indeed the deed of the Celestial Palace, what of it? For the peace of this world, you and the demons must die. You and the demons must die. This sentence completely violated Bai Yan's bottom line. causing her to usher forward the strongest force of aggression. Mother, I'm sorry I've dragged you into this. Encountering a member of the Celestial Palace this soon was something out of Bai Yan's expectation, and since the person claims to be a keeper then, he could only be at the demi-divine lord level. Even so, she's not afraid despite the huge gap in strength and felt relieved that the kids aren't around right now. Don't say that, Yenner. It's me who should apologize because they are coming after me. Bai Ning bitterly smiles due to the helplessness she felt inwardly. Bai Yan on the other hand didn't reply her mother's words though, only looking down to the old goat beside herself. Dragonflame, I will lift the contract between you and Half Qing Sing in a bit. You leave here immediately, his target is me and my mother. I only want to ask one favor from you. Help me bring my son and daughter to Deetsong, alright? Ning Yu's death 1. This woman is going to release me from the contract? Dragonflame couldn't believe what he was hearing and went stiff in his body. And at a time like this? Shouldn't she be using us as a shield instead to fend off danger? Why is she allowing me to escape? For a while, a look of disapproving and confused light filled the old goat's eye. In his view, the impression he had of humanity was that of greed, cunning, and selfishness. Finding someone that contradicts his belief was it's making his brain unable to process the reality. Dragonflame, I don't know if it was really me who locked you down there. But if it were me then I'm sorry and is returning your freedom to you. For a long time, the old goat didn't remove his gaze from the lady's face, only staring at her like a baffled child. That was until the power binding his soul to Bai Yan completely disappeared. That's when he realized she didn't lie and spelled the truth. Go. Yelling now. Go as far as you can, don't come back. Tell Xiaochen and Dragony not to avenge me until they get enough strength to do so. Suddenly, an intense force explodes out of Bai Yan's body that pushed the old goat several meters away to give him space to flee. Back over in the inn, Bai Xiaochen was very dissatisfied right now as she stared in a bored fashion at Half Qing Sing who's sitting across from himself on the table. Where did my mother go? Why won't you tell me? I'm patient as she was, the snake answers honestly nevertheless. She said you are to not involve yourself in this matter so just wait here. Bai Xiaochen's expression sank at that. Jumping up from his chair, he began to stroll towards the snake to do something. But before the boy could do anything though, Half Qing Sing's face suddenly changed into that of shock and disbelief, causing the kid to also frown at the strange behavior. What's wrong with you? I don't know, your mother suddenly lifted the soul-binding contract between me and her. She lifted the contract? A dramatic change of color took place across the little steam bun's face. Mother must be in danger. I must go find her. No. Seeing the boys about to run out the door, Half Qing Sing hurriedly caught up and blocked the path by holding his shoulder. No, you can't go to her, I promise to keep you safe. Even if the contract between me and her is gone, I will still carry out this last mission out of consideration for keeping her word. Get out of my way. Without any indication, a monumental level of power exploded out of the boy's body, sending the snake flying back several feet before she stumbles to the floor. This sudden increase in strength and oppressive air left the lady in utter dismay. She never expected the child to be this powerful and instinctively gulped out of fear from the hearts down. Ning Yu's death too. Gitch. By then the event had also drawn in Dragony from her nap. Reaching over to stop the boy as well, she wanted to ask what's going on when he slapped her hand away. The pain stung of course and the little missy promptly shrunk her hands back, those eyes timid and sad when looking at the little steam bun who didn't give any words of comfort that he normally would. What's wrong, Gitch? Are you going to find Mother? Can you take me along with you? I can also help protect Mother. Dragony's pathetic voice did make the kid halt for a second, but that's only for a second before that little body of his disappeared in a gush of wind. For a while, the little missy actually didn't know what to do and just dumbly stood there after being dismissed like that. Am I too weak? The missy timidly asks the snake behind herself with pursed lips. Oomph! Coughing to clear the blood from her throat, Half Qing Sing didn't hold back and smirked a grin to play her nasty side. Yep, you're too weak. Hands winding into a tight ball, Dragony's gaze were stern and hard when staring in the direction which the boy ran off to. I'm going to get stronger, one day I will be very strong. Even if I have to pay a huge price I won't fail. Due to her own attention still being preoccupied by the sudden disconnect of the soul-binding contract, Half Ching Sing actually didn't realize the little missy had also left moments later, leaving only this snake demoness in the room by herself grinning like an idiot. Meanwhile, back over in the demon realm, a certain white tiger and blue dragon were playfully flying through the forested terrain at great speed, when the former felt a strange and uncomfortable pang of panic circulating within his heart. Sing-yi, do you feel it? Little Rice asks with nervous eyes. The blue dragon stopped at the call, transforming into a beautiful lady the next. Yes, mistress. She cut the connection with us. I can't feel the contract between us anymore. After saying that, the dragoness clenched her trembling fists until it was making a crunching sound. That's how frustrated she was right now. Do you think something happened to her? It must be. Otherwise, why else would the contract be terminated between us? Mistress must not want to drag us down with her. We can't stick around here like this. I'm going to go find her. Wiping the drop of tear from his feline face, Little Rice mutters, Mistress, you must wait for me. I will be there right away. Unlike the dragoness who only recently returned to Bai Yan's side, Little Rice was personally raised by the lady since birth, so his emotional attachment was much higher than the rest, bordering on the line of a child to a parent. Imagine said parent being in great danger. There's no way the kid would sit idly by and wait. After the brief exchange, both demons didn't hesitate and rushed ahead for the last known direction in which they could tell Bai Yan was in. Though they have no clue where the exact spot was, they are confident in their own abilities to figure that out once they arrive at the celestial realm. Ning Yu's death 3. I have lifted the contract with everyone else aside from Deetsong's mother. I got nothing to fear anymore, so do not worry about me. Unlike the familiar contracts between herself and the rest, Deetsong's connection was for life, so she couldn't do it on her own. Nevertheless, she's very confident the consequences of it breaking if anything happens today wouldn't kill her husband still, so it's fine. Gently furrowing her brow, Bai Ning attempts to sway the girl to leave after seeing that serious face. Yenner, I can delay this guy for a while, you should leave here first. Mother, revealing a bitter smile. You may not remember the past, but there are some words I must say now in case I don't have that chance anymore. You don't remember me, you don't remember grandfather, but do you remember Yun Feng? Back then the two of you loved each other with your all, and because of that he was locked up for 20 years and lost his mind for 20 years. You are his entire hope. I can't and I won't let that turn into disappointment. Yun Feng? Bai Ning's face carried a look of pain over the reminder. She remembers Bai Xiaochen bringing that name up at one point. Though familiar to her ears, she still couldn't remember who that person was. Can it be, I really do have some sort of relationship with that Yun Feng? Tightly clutching her own head, Bai Ning felt like her brain's about to explode due to the stinging pain. Damn it, I can't remember anything, including that Yun Feng. Are you two done talking yet? Keeper Ling cuts in with a faint smile of disinterest. If you've said enough, then get ready to meet your end. I'm sure hell will welcome a pair of filthy swines like you two. Due to how cold and bitter his voice was, it immediately drew a reaction from the scum that's standing to one side. Keeper Ling, didn't you say you will help me get Ninger? What did you mean by those words? Ning Yuan carefully asks. What do I mean? The old elder sneered at the foolish idiot. This woman dared to attack the celestial palace while I and the other keepers were in isolated training and killed numerous people under us. Do you expect me to leave her be after all the lives she took? Do you expect me to leave her be after all the lives she took? The statement resonating like a clap of thunder in the scum's head, causing him to stumble backwards in horror as he turned to face the woman he claims to love. So this was the Celestial Palace's goal from the start, to take Ninger's life? How could I have been so foolish? I clearly knew these people hated her to the core, yet I still brought him here. If Ninger dies today, then it's me who brought this on her. No. You can't treat Ninger like this, you promised me. You only want to tame that demonic beast under her control. How can you go back on your words? If you act like this, then aren't you afraid of the Celestial Palace losing credibility? With every word he spoke came a redder shade of madness in the scum's eye, causing him to tremble with anger in turn as well. Mocking in his grin, Keeper Ling obviously knew the guy would say that when he reveals his true intent. What of it? So what if we go back on our promise to you? Aside from an idiot like you, who else knows about the promise? If no one knows, then how can it tarnish the celestial palace's reputation? Ning Yu's death 4. Ning Yuan's figure openly shook after the burst of outcry. Instead of looking handsome, he's visibly despairing on the face as blood drained from him. I already told you before, your actions will kill Auntie Ning. Gritting fire between her teeth, the petite girl lashes out at the scum after having her prediction come true. Despite the screaming words from his own daughter, Ning Yuan just blankly stared into the air and kept at it until the corner of his eye caught sight of the beloved woman he wanted so dearly. Perhaps this scum of humanity did feel regret for his actions right now and began to realize his own folly, but it didn't matter anymore. Those involved could care less about his emotions. Mother, there's something else I want to tell you. Bai Yin ignored the keeper's threat and continued to speak. What is it? Bai Ning asks with a surprised note in her voice. My grandfather, uncle, father and grandmother are all waiting for you to come home. So I don't want you to possibly misunderstand them once you regain your memories. The one who secretly attacked you didn't do so under the instruction of grandfather. It's a vile hag who loves father in secret and did so behind everyone's back. I hope you can forgive father and his side of the family for not knowing and stopping it in time back then. Pausing, a firm light flickers within Bai Yan's eyes like she's come to term with something. And finally, Mother, I really do love you, I do. In that instant, Bai Ning just stared out in shock over the undeniable confirmation of their bond. She suspected as much, but it's another thing to hear it aloud that it's true. Swish. Suddenly, without giving anyone a chance to react, Bai Yan had pulled out her longsword, Godslayer, and slashed down at the ground between herself and her astonished mother. Immediately, a giant crack forms and forced the two apart in order to avoid falling into the chasm. Dragonflame, take her away. That's the first thing the old goat heard when he realized what Bai Yan had done. Hurrying to grab hold of Bai Ning's arm, this ancient dragon did exactly as ordered and forcibly dragged the woman off. I'm not leaving, my daughter is still there, that's my daughter. Bai Ning's face appeared urgent and frantic, but despite the woman's struggle to break free, her body refused to act like the mind wanted. It's as if the ancient dragon had some strange power and pinned her to his hands. You let go of me this instant. If you don't let go, then don't blame me for retaliating. Seeing how they're getting further and further away from the valley, Bai Ning's heart became increasingly more dire and stressed. Without thinking, she seriously attacked the old goat with a palm strike wrapped with an incredible amount of her own power. Bang! Spitting out a mouthful of blood from the impact to his chest, Dragonflame didn't get angry despite his goodwill and actually spoke kindly for once. You are indeed stronger than that, Ning Yuan. Injuring my body is no easy feat, but unless you are at the Divine Lord level, you can forget about breaking free of my restraints today. I promised her to take you away, so I will do just that. Of course, the lady herself wasn't some pushover either, and the old goat's overestimation of his own strength was a mistake. Before another word could be exchanged, Bai Ning's body abruptly exploded with power, causing a torrent of wind to blow outward and blinding the ancient dragon's eye. Using this momentary lapse in view, Bai Ning instantly broke free from the grasp by sheer physical strength and ended ripping part of her own dress in the process. This allowed her the opening to fly back towards the valley where Bai Yan should be still. Unfortunately for this desperate mother, the old goat wasn't someone that could so easily be lost. In mere seconds, Dragonflame had already caught back up and clung onto the lady's waist like an anchor. Despite the numerous hits Bai Ning threw in frustration of this baggage, the darn dragon just won't let go. This is what I promised her, I won't let go. Dragonflame gnashes his teeth and endures despite bruises cover his old face now. Ning Yu's death 5. Scram, you get away from me. Tearing her hearts out, Bai Ning's voice carried a haunted tone like a banshee's scream. That is my daughter, my one and only daughter in this world. I remember everything now. I remember it all. She is the one I've wronged the most, I couldn't protect her when I should. And I gave her up for adoption when I shouldn't have. How can you expect me to stay back and watch? On the opposite side of the valley, Ning Yuan's had widened in shock, constricting inwards due to the fact. How could she have recovered her memories? Just then last ounce of patience has finally seeped out of Keeper Ling's body. Raising his hand, a sharp beam of light shoots out of his finger and aims straight for the crying mother that's quickly flying back over, separated only by an open chasm on the ground. Mother! Bai Yin cried out in extreme fright then, wanting to give chase to the attack and stop it. Sadly, her movements were nowhere close to being in time due to her positioning. Dragon Flame knew this and knew he had to do something. Without giving his brain any time to think, the old goat's body had responded and wanted to forcibly fend off the light beam using his own sturdy self. However, there was apparently someone else who had the same idea that was also much closer. Bang! Ningyu figure silently stood there as the light pierced through her chest. Then without a single sound, the petite girl wordlessly fell to the ground and hit the bushes. Despite this, her bleakly white face remained a smile as life slowly drained from those eyes. It's clear she wanted this, perhaps as redemption or payment for her own mistakes in life. Bai Ning's heart felt like someone just ripped it right out of her body in that instant. Staring out in absolutely disbelief, the air literally left her lung as she cried out the girl's name. You are, why? Auntie Ning. The words were intermittent between breath because of how weak the girl was. I really am sorry. I really do like you. At the edge of death, Ningyu could honestly tell herself she did love Bai Ning from the hearts down as a motherly figure. She still wishes to be the woman's daughter despite everything. This includes ignoring that demonic beast under her control. However, life doesn't give a person a second chance. Bai Yin had stopped running over as well by this point, her eyes showing struggling indecision at the dying Ningyu who just saved her own mother. There's no doubt that Bai Yin had assumed the other lass only wanted to get close to Bai Ning for ulterior motives, but after this scene she couldn't deny she was wrong, dead wrong even. She really did care for my mother. Mother. Coming back to her senses, Bai Yin immediately pulled out a medicinal bottle and threw it over. Take this and give her it. Okay. Catching it like she's catching a lifeline, Bai Ning immediately returned her attention back to Ningyu and popped the cork, trying hard to put the pill into the girl's mouth. Unfortunately, Ningyu had other intentions in mind. Slowly closing her eyes, she resisted the life-saving medicine and brought the desperate lady to the knees. Ningyu's death 7. Bai Yin scoffs a sneer in retort. That's right, I will and I can with my bottom divine strength. Stroking her long sword, a flicker of frost beamed out of the lady's eye. Godslayer, I know a sprite resides within your main body and that you have awakened. Since the day where she saw this blade absorb the energy within the bronze gate on its own, Bai Yin had already known there's a sprite residing within. She only left the matter alone because the sword immediately went back into slumber, otherwise she would have tried to dive deeper for more information. But now Bai Yin could no longer wait. She needs the power within this sword. I picked you up not only to be a blade that can only kill. If you don't help me then I would rather destroy you if you aren't able to do more. Yun. Buzzing from the stimulation, it's clear the words from the woman had roused a tough reaction from the sword. It's protesting to the threat in its own way by humming profusely. Surprised on the face, Keeper Ling immediately revealed his greedy side. I did not expect you to have such a valuable weapon in your hands. What a shame. Such a nice sword is wasted on you. Even with its help, you still won't be able to defeat me. Bai Yin didn't get taunted by the provocation, only raising her blade upwards and tossing it behind herself along the crack line. Like a massive wall, the sword grew and grew, massively bigger than its original size until it's towering like a miniature mountain range. I don't have to use my Godslayer to deal with the likes of you. I just need it to keep my mother from returning to this side of the valley. And like you said, my strength is indeed lacking. Otherwise I could have used the sword to defeat a trash. Squinting those old eyes in, Keeper Ling apparently found the comment insulting. In that case I will first remove you from this world and then deal with your mother. At the same moment back over on the other side of the valley, Bai Ning was pounding away at the sword's body. No matter how she tried though, she just couldn't make it budge. Nor could she fly over due to the strange power restricting flight from the blade. You should stop it now. With your current powers you are nowhere strong enough to break through its hardness. I know this sword the best. Not only can it cut through the strongest defenses, the sword aura coming off of it can also crush a person into meat paste. Though its abilities are somewhat limited due to your daughter's weakness, it is still more than enough to keep you down on the ground. The old goat's remarks only made the lady more desperate on the face. Throwing another punch to verify the claim. It's exactly as he said, where the flesh and metal clanked together but with no visible damage. You know I can't do nothing, so let me go. I owe her so much in this life. Now that she's in imminent danger as a mother, I can't just watch and selfishly protect myself. Ning Yu's death 8. Please, I beg of you, let me get over there. By the end of it, Bai Ning's voice had devolved into a pleading mess as she gradually crumbled to the ground. She's desperately pushing against the blade with her hands to no avail. Exactly then, from out of the blue, a powerful gush of wind rolls over from the back, catching the lady's attention. Grandmother, is my mother here? Bai Xiaqin's face was cold and hard, causing those who peer into his red eye to flinch from inherent fear. Slowly nodding. Yes, she is. Needing no more confirmation aside from that, Bai Xiaqin's attention shifts towards the only obstacle in his way. Gradually, a thin layer of reddishly blood-lit flame wraps around his fist. Despite the tiny spark of fire, the heat emitting off of it was incredibly intense that it felt like a burning meteorite to those nearby. Boom! Thankfully, Godslayer had a better sense in the brain than those idiots out there in this world. Right before the punch could make contact, the sprite inside sensed the danger and instantly shrank back into its former size to reveal the much-wanted figure across the crack line. Unfortunately, the situation wasn't what Bai Xiaqin wanted to see though. Instead of standing there unharmed and well like he's always envisioned the lady to be, that rosy red dress had just crashed down from the air and slammed into the ground like a ragged doll. Yinner! Bai Ning's heart literally stopped beating from the horrifying image. She could no longer control her emotions and rushed forward, tightly hugging her daughter's body like a frantic mother. Don't scare me, Yenner, it wasn't easy for me to remember everything. How can you leave me behind so soon? Dragon Flame may not have reacted as strongly there, but he's also standing there in a dull state. It can't be. It looks so serious. She couldn't have died, right? She couldn't have died, right? Everything in the surrounding environment immediately became shut from Bai Xiaqin's senses, leaving only the pounding heartbeat from his chest that indicated his own emotions. My mother's dead? She's been killed? A burst of air exploded out of the boy's body, shrouding him in a visible torrent of tyrannical wind with changing signs of it surging upwards. Dragon Flame was the only one standing behind the family, so he had the perfect view from his angle. Immediately, a look of horror overtook his eyes as he gulped. What the hell is going on here? Why is this little fella going through such a drastic change and in such short timing? He not only changed physically, his energy signature also changed. Keeper Ling could barely believe the child that's confronting himself. It's menacing and frightening, just like a sinister monster from the depths of hell itself. Why does the little guy make me tremble just by looking at him? Bai Xiaqin didn't utter a single word in this case. With a light tap of his foot, he was already in front of the elder, his palm reaching out like he wants to clap him out of existence. Of course, the little steambun's strength wasn't at that level yet. He only managed to send the keeper flying back several meters from sheer brute force of his powers. Nevertheless, it's enough to leave the old goat in the background utterly dismayed from such strength. Ning Yu's death 9. In light of the turn of the tide following the huge change in the boy's behavior, Dragon Flame didn't find the situation any more comforting. In fact, he's still as tense as when the fighting first began. Seriously, the little guy has completely turned into a different person by this point, like someone possessed by another soul. Suddenly, another force had caught the attention of the old goat from the rear after he subconsciously inched closer to Bai Ning for safety. Swinging his head around, his view was immediately blasted with the purplish figure zipping over from the horizon. If it was anyone else, then Dragonflame wouldn't pay too much attention aside from being alarmed by a new entry, but that face was someone he recognized and it made him go into a dismayed and excited state. It's him? He's alive? I can finally meet him again. But the man wearing the purplish robe did not give any attention to the excited old goat. He rushed right past everyone and came before Bai Yan like a lightning bolt and pulled the lady into his embrace, right out of Bai Ning's grasp, who still hadn't come to terms on what's happening. Yenna, I'm sorry I'm late. But don't worry, even if it takes the sacrifice of my own life, I will never let you leave me again. That said, Deedsong promptly pulled out a dagger and slit the palm of his hand, allowing the golden droplets of blood to trickle down onto his wife's face. Dragonflame was absolutely shocked by this scene. He's stiff and horrified as he spoke. You are going to use your own essence to save her. That is your most precious essence, the life force of us demons. If you use it, then your own life will be in peril. But before the old goat could finish his outcry, Song's next act had left the ancient dragon speechless. It's because instead of using only one droplet of essence that he needed, the Demon King was pouring countless drops down like a rainfall. As a result of this effort, the broken hole in Bai Yan's chest was visibly healing on sight, repairing whatever damage that the woman had sustained from the battle. In hindsight, Song's complexion was also growing pale in return, a clear indication he's giving his life out for his wife. Urgency now filled Dragonflame's eyes. The more he watched, the more rattled he was inwardly because he just didn't understand why Song would go so far for a human woman. Why? What sort of relationship does he have with her? However, despite the pleading look from the old goat, Song never even flinched for a second, only staring intently down at his unconscious wife in his arms. It's as if the world didn't exist in his world anymore. Only the lovely woman in front of his eyes that he would give everything in this world to save. Enough, that's enough. Dragonflame could no longer keep quiet and cried out in a frantic manner. What you are doing now isn't just a simple act of giving your essence anymore. You're going to die at this rate. She's already mostly healed. You don't need to keep going. Father's love won. Song acted like he didn't hear a single word from the old goat and continued to drip his essence blood down from his palm until he was absolutely sure Bai Yan's wound had healed completely. As a consequence, his complexion had grown increasingly more dire and even turned a shade of black like someone that's dying. Even so, he pressed onwards until the color of life returned to his wife's face. Once that was confirmed and done, the panic-stricken heart inside the Demon King finally relaxed. However, that doesn't mean he was done here today. Shifting his terribly dark side over to the one responsible for all this damage, Song's aura instantly sends the temperature of the area down a notch like the valley had turned into an ice prison. Boom! Bai Xiachen didn't know or didn't care what's happening behind himself. He only had one thought in his mind right now, and that was to crush this Keeper Ling until he's removed from this world. For that reasoning, his attacks were growing increasingly more ferocious with every punch, and now created shockwaves even if he didn't connect. As a keeper, the elder of course felt indignant at being pressured by a young brat that has barely weaned from his mother's milk. But what he saw next when his eyes fell upon the newly arrived Demon King had sucked the air right out of his lungs. He had the look of horror and disbelief on his old face in that second. Then without another thought, he instantly retreated and stopped struggling to fight the child. Instead, he made a 180 turn and fled in the opposite direction. Bai Xiachen naturally wouldn't allow this. Having his target flee in his state wasn't an option. Pursing his prey, he threw punches after punches that blew apart the land at every turn. Sadly, just as he's about to catch up to the bastard to give the killing blow, Keeper Ling's body simply disappeared. That's right. The old bastard disappeared out of thin air, leaving only a slight fluctuation in the air to prove he was there mere seconds ago. This! Bai Ning hurried to crawl up from the ground and stared upwards at the boy who continued to attack the terrain mindlessly until the landscape started to show signs of becoming a barren wasteland. Xiachen! In her anxious state after finding the boy not looking right, the grandmother took to the air in an attempt to calm her grandchild. Unfortunately, the little steambun's fist did not stop despite the pleading cry and even began to attack the woman with bloodthirsty light in each punch. Bai Ning truly didn't expect to become a target by her very own grandchild. Because of that reasoning, she did not even have time to react. Thankfully someone did and had grabbed hold of that tiny fist in the nick of time. Otherwise who knows what would happen to the lady's life. Bai Xiachen. The man's voice was low and harsh, his expression unreadable. Do you recognize who I am? The boy didn't reply, only growing increasingly more savage in his aura. Kill everyone in order to avenge mother. Hate and anger had possessed his poor heart at this point. Fluttering his little robe, the boy's magna-like punches began to rain down like a storm once again. But this time it's at his own father. Father's love, too. Song's frown had deepened greatly over the behavior of his boy. If it was in the past, then he could most certainly subdue the little steambun using his powers. However, he's lost too much blood from saving Bai Yan, making him incapable despite his will to do so. coupled with the violent behavior of his son, it's a surefire way to rouse heavy resistance, and that would be dangerous for him and the child. Damn it! He curses, determined on his next course of action. Right as the boy was about to throw another punch, Song had closed the distance and used his arms to grapple Xiachen into a bind. By Xiachen, wake up this instant! The Demon King's voice made a heavy blow to the kid's mind in an attempt to bring him back to reality. But clearly Bai Xiachen was too far gone at this point for simple words like a demand to work. Next thing Song knew was the kid biting down at his shoulder and piercing the skin with those fangs like teeth. Hiss! He felt the air suck out of him from the excruciating pain. It's gory and bloody all over his shoulder, but even so Song refused to let go. What exactly happened, Xiachen? Bai Ning took this chance to get up close, her hands covering her lips after getting a clearer look of the boy's form. He's like a true monster, red-eyed with claws extended. To call Bai Xiachen a were-beast was a good way to describe his current state. Just like the lady, Dragonflame had also started to tear up in the face. Of course, the distress wasn't over the little steambun's terrible form. He's aching over Song's weakened state and now injured shoulder. But goodwill always gets awarded when offered. Though Song didn't intentionally do it, his blood that seeped into Bai Xiachen's mouth from him biting so much had roused a spark of sanity back into the child. I don't care what you are, but Xiachen is my son, so I will not allow you to hurt him. Song's tone was heavy and commanding while it echoed across the empty valley. It can't be. Something really exists within Xiachen's body? This was the thought that came to Bai Ning and Dragonflame, who were the only ones left aside from the injured Bai Yan. Unfortunately, that comment from Song only made the boy even more restless and struggled harder from what he already was doing. Mother, I want my mother. They all deserve to die, all die. After saying this, that young face once again surged with killing intent, the red light in his eerie eye glistening with darkness like a monster from depths of hell. Going slightly pale at the sudden change, Song's voice snapped again into an urgent yet harsh tone. Bai Xiachen, your mother is not dead, so snap out of it. Not dead? Seems those two words were the key. Like thunderclouds being dispersed to reveal the sunlight behind it, a look of clarity returns to the boy for real this time as he eyes his old man. Mother is not dead? Really not dead? Taking this opening, Song knew what he had to do and chopped down with his hand against the little steambun's neck and sent him limp. What's wrong with Xiachen? Bai Xiachen nervously asks, afraid of what the possibilities are. There is a grudge within his body. It's full of resentment and hate. That's why he would attack anyone and everyone nearby earlier. Father's love 3. I have already tried to contain that dark grudge in him before, but it's clear the method I used is not useful in the end. If this continues, then he will become a creature of carnage, only knowing how to kill and nothing more. Song explains, his brow furrowing deep and hard. As a woman and as a grandmother, Bai Ning felt great pain that someone so young would have to endure such struggles. This little guy is only 7, why must he bear so much pain on his shoulder? Here, help me take care of Xiachen for a bit. After handing the boy over to the grandmother, Song then strode towards his wife in light steps across the grass. Due to the sun being directly above the group because of the hour, the light only made that peerless contour of the woman's face even more magnificent. But this wasn't the only attracting feature for the Demon King. That bump along the woman's belly was a huge eye-catcher which brought him to the knees. Under normal circumstances and logically speaking, after Bai Yan suffered this much damage to her body, she should have lost the baby inside already. However, in the moment where his hands reached down to touch the fetus, a golden light glowed from within the womb and wowed the troubled husband. Naturally, finding the unborn baby safe and sound was a glorious news to the anticipating father. But he's also worried but grateful at the same time. There's an unknown force protecting the fetus. It's abnormal and a sign of greater power at play, and that was something he couldn't control. I will take my wife back to rest first. My subordinates will come later to retrieve the rest of you later. Bai Ning was taken aback at first over that message, but she quickly nodded after coming to the fact that it's for the best. Please take care of Yenner then. Not replying, Song first gazed down to the sleeping beauty in his arms before showing a faint smile of comfort. She is my wife, I will of course love her with my all and take care of her. This attitude from her son-in-law had left Bai Ning befuddled with complex emotions. Originally she didn't like this man when he appeared, but after witnessing how far he would go for her own daughter, the grandmother could deny her view has changed. She's starting to accept him from the hearts down. Does your shoulder need tending to? The lady asks after noticing the blood still trickling out of the wound. Casting a look down at his own shoulder, a cunning smirk escaped the dastardly demon king. This injury won't hinder my movement, so it's fine to leave it as is. Once Xiaochen wakes up, I will tell him this is done by him. Knowing his personality, my boy will feel guilty and remorseful. By then I can use that as a threat to make him stop competing for Yenner's attention with me. Bai Ning couldn't stop the twitching in the corner of her own mouth after hearing that ridiculous reasoning. Competing for Yenner's attention with me? Is he seriously jealous of his own son? Nevertheless, Bai Ning's tense heart did ease up after hearing how relaxed the man was in the way he spoke. Showing a soft smile of her own. Then hurry and bring Yenner back to rest. I will first deal with the matters here before taking Xiaochen back with me to find you. After that, Ditsong wasted no time and disappeared from the valley, his figure gone and out of view in an instant. Father's love for. Turning around to meet the scum's face after the demon king had left with her daughter, Bai Ning's expression was cold and unkind. I remember everything. This sentence instantly sends Ning Yuan into a trembling panic as he stared at that face whom he dreamed for years to have. You erase my memories because I repeatedly rejected you back then. Did it ever cross your mind that this day would come? That said, she then began to walk slowly towards the scum, her steps measured and powerful. Ninger, I only did all that because I love you too much. That's why I did all those things. Love. She scoffs a sarcastic sneer. I rather not have this sort of crazy love from you. Not to mention I have a child and husband. Based on what can you make me forget them and accept you? The downgrading remarks from the lady had left the scum humiliated and shamed, evident by the clenched fist he's making. Even so, Ning Yuan regrets nothing. Since that year where he first lay eyes on Bai Ning climbing up from the cliff in her blood-ridden state, he has fallen heads over heels for her, and could never get out of that quagmire. He thought he could get the woman to accept him once she loses her memories, which he believes any love-stricken man would do if they're being rejected as so. However, history has proven him wrong, very wrong. How can you be so cruel to me, Ninger? I offered up so much, paid so much. Ning Yuan's voice trembled with the note of deep scarring pain which pierced straight into his bones. Why should I accept a dark-hearted person like you? Bai Ning unequivocally shuts the scum down. My husband is an honest and upright man in this world. Even if he is not as strong as you, but in my mind, he is a hero, while you are nothing but a wretched little man. While you are nothing but a wretched little man. Her last sentence rumbled like a rolling thunder, blasting the scum backwards. So in her eyes I'm nothing but a wretched little man? How laughable. With his eyes closed, Ning Yuan's face was full of grief and pain until he opened them again. This time he's pleading. Then can you let me go out of consideration for accompanying you for all these years? Ha ha ha. Bai Ning suddenly bursts into a hysterical laughing fit, her voice mad and crazy sounding. Let you go? You ripped my past from me and had me forget my own husband and daughter. Why should I let a bastard like you go who stole all those precious moments from my life? But if things hadn't gone this way today, I might have spared your life out of concern for you. But you killed her, then tried to kill my flesh and blood as well today. Which part of your behavior warrants mercy? Tell me which part. No. Ning Yuan stumbles another step back, his head shaking like he's refusing reality. The ones who wanted to hurt your daughter is the Celestial Palace. I'm innocent. Innocent? She chuckles with an icy note. If not for you, would they have known to come here and ambush us? If not for you, would you be dead? If not for you, would my daughter's life be in peril? And if not for you, would my grandson have been provoked and devolved into that state? Father's love 5. So the culprit of all this is you. Gritting her teeth, anger burns within the lady's eye as she pounced before the scum could utter more insulting words to defend himself. There's a huge bone-crunching sound when that punch landed along the chest. This punch is for myself. You caused me to forget my husband and child. And you also made them search for me for years. Bang! A huge dent imprinted itself into Ning Yuan's chest now, causing him to spew out blood from the mouth like a sprinkling fountain. This punch is for you. You as a father failed her. Not only did you not properly educate her to be a good person, you also caused her death with your own conceited selfishness. I bet the reason she bullied my daughter is because of you goading her along that path too. Bang! With another punch coming down, Ning Yuan's face of pleading now turns to fear. The following punches are all for my daughter. If it wasn't for you, then she wouldn't have suffered such a severe injury. You will never be able to make up for the damage. That said, the lady's fist rained down like a storm, whisking away and pounding down relentlessly until the last breath was sucked out of the scum's throat. In the end, the bastard meets his end by sheer brute force. A fateful end he never expected for himself. Dragon Flame appeared stunned by the brutality portrayed by Ning's ferocity. It's one thing to beat a man to a pulp, it's another to turn him into mincemeat like an Amazonian huntress. Dragon Flame. Bai Ning retracts her bloodstained fist. Go back and find Dragoni, take her to Yenner's side. Me and Xiachen will clean up here first before joining them. Giving a slight nod. Okay, I will go back first. I also want to see if half Qing Xing fled yet. Just now Bai Yan not only broke the bond between himself and her, she also likely applied it to that snake, so he's very anxious to get back and make that damnable woman pay for all the crap he had to go through in the underground world. Back over in the inn, half Qing Xing didn't run away like some thought she would. Rather, she's sitting there with a dull face like she's mulling over some dilemma, mainly on why Bai Yan would terminate their contract without a single word. Then, without any indication, the door to the room was blown open, rattling from the sheer strength of the knock. Hurrying to get due to the intrusion, the lady didn't know who or what would attack at this time, but she wasn't going to take any chances. However, that old figure reflecting into her eyes sent her hair rising from fright. In the past there was Bai Yan's contract to keep the old goat at bay and snuffing her life out, but clearly that's gone by this point, meaning there's nothing holding back Dragon Flame from exacting his much-delayed vengeance. Father's love 6. You, what are you going to do? Stalked against a wall with her back, half Qing Xing appeared frantic and afraid at the old goat's menacing face. She uncontracted us already, why did you not run away? Dragon Flame furrows his brow and asks with a frosty voice after finding the snake still around, clattering on the teeth. Is it too late if I leave now? The old goat sneered at that. What do you think? The countering question nearly sucked the soul out of the woman's chest, and because of that reasoning, she couldn't utter a single word due to the intense fear. Do you think you can still escape after all the things you did to me over the years? A sinister sneer draws itself into the elder's face as he stared down at the trembling-legged woman. Even if she lets you go, I won't let you. Biting her own lips at the impending future, she musters up the courage to speak. Then what do you want to do to me? Simple, she may have removed the contract on you, but she's still alive and was saved. You will renew the bond with her once we meet up again. Otherwise I will kill you now and be done with this. When he finished saying that, a surge of killing intent filled the old goat's body and turned him into a killing machine. Wide-eyed in surprise, she blubbers out her next words. You mean to have me continue my bond with her? Don't you want to be free? This is a rare opportunity for us. Besides, don't you hate her before? Why are you giving up such a good chance? The old goat snorted. I'm not regretting that decision, how about that? I will give you your choices. One to be her servant again, the other is I kill you now. Shuddering at the notion, half Qing Xing really struggled with the options because she's being forced to give up her freedom for a second time. However, when confronting with the murderous face of the old goat, the snake lady knew she had no other choice. Thinking up to here, she huffs a breath of frustration and spoke. Fine, I will do it then, not like I didn't serve her before. But I don't understand, why did she release us in the first place? Shooting a look at the snake, Dragon Flame faintly mutters out his inner thoughts that left her frozen. Perhaps we misunderstood here before. We misunderstood here before? That woman is cunning and sly, but she is indeed not one to go back on her words. Also, she did take us out of that place, though she tied us with that contract. However, I believe she only forced that on us in order to secure her own safety. The old goat then sighed like he's coming to terms with the facts. But when the face of danger, she chose to release us in order to not drag us in with her. From that moment I understood, we've been misunderstanding her. She is a bright and open person, unlike most of those rotten humans out there who would turn on us demons at the closest opportune moment. We're not just shields and tools to her, we're real living beings to her. Such a person is worthy of our admiration. All those positive comments have left Ching Sing silent and confused, her eyes muddled with complex emotions. Truth was, it wouldn't have taken long for the snake to come to the realization of why Bai Yan did all that. But the biased presumption of a human choosing to protect a demon while their own life was in danger still lingered in the lady's head. That's not going to change anytime soon. Right, where is that little dragoness? I promised Madame Bai Ning that I will take her with me. At the beginning the old goat would only address Bai Ning by her name. Never did he call her Madame. However, that's going to change since he's sincerely willing to follow Bai Yan from now on. Giving the woman's mother the title of Madame was adequate and proper, a good sign of loyalty. 3-month one. Ching Sing just stood there for a while before answering. That girl was just here a while ago, she should be here still somewhere. Let's go to her room and search. That's all Dragon Flame needed to hear for him to leave this room for the little missies. However, the expected scene of a little girl sitting in the room never came. Only empty space and an open window with the sun shining in. It's peacefully quiet without a speck of movement. Frowning at this picture. Where's the girl? Is she not supposed to be here? Hurry and look, Ching Sing. She's the woman's lifeblood as well. We can't afford to have anything happen to her. Tensing up inside, the snake demoness felt an incredible level of unease. Okay, let's do that. She promised to take care of the kids while Bai Yan was away. Failing to keep the little steam bun away was already a huge blunder on her part. If she also fails to secure Dragony's safety, then what did she do right so far? Wait. Dragon Flame calls out right when the snake's about to run out to search. You have always been cunning and sly, so I don't trust you to be alone. Stay with me and we will go together. Right after that statement, Ching Sing's expression could be seen visibly deflated with annoyance. However, she's also urgent to find the little missy, so she didn't argue with the old goat. Giving her partner a hard stare, she began to examine the room and the corridor for clues of where the girl was. Then that's when they discovered the note left on the table in the room. The content was as following. Gidge, big brother, went to find mother so she and him will be very safe. I don't want to be a baggage, so I'm going off on my own to improve myself. When I grow strong enough, I will return on my own, so please let my mother know. Thank you, Sister Ching Sing. Sincerely yours. Dragony. After reading it twice over, Ching Sing's hand had started shaking hard and her complexion paled into a dreary white. There are beads of sweating coming out as well. The last left. Dragon Flame also read the note by peeking down from the snake's shoulder. Let's go then, this letter should be enough for us to go back. She won't blame us if the girl herself decides to leave. Hold on. Why are you acting so afraid? Did you do something? The snake demoness was already frightened enough, now to be called out. It's normal for her to spill the bean. She asked me if she was weak before, so I told her the truth. I really didn't think she would run away from home. If we got down to it, I'm responsible for this mess. The old goat didn't make any sly or downgrading comments of the snake's dejected appearance, only showing a frown and musing over the issue. Don't dwell on the matter too much. I can tell the last left quite a while ago already. What's more, her lineage is not normal. I can tell when it resonated with my own. Perhaps this outing will be a chance for her to grow. Speaking up to here, Dragon Flame decides to urge the lady to move it so they could stop wasting time here. Let's go, we can't do much else anyways. I'm sure no one will blame you for this since the note already explained everything. In the old goat's mind, he wants to catch up to Bai Ning before she leaves. If they depart now, then there's still time to meet up. Without another words, that elder's figure was gone and disappeared into sky. 3-month 2. Finding her partner already gone, Ching Sing had no other reason to stay and quickly followed suit. Demon City. The sky around this settlement seems to be perennially shrouded in gloom lately after the king and queen returned 3 months ago. The event should have been a joyous occasion for these demons who had their ruler return. Sadly, the queen herself had fallen into a coma since, leaving the king sleepless and worried on her bedside. In fact, aside from the young prince and Bai Yan's birth mother Bai Ning, no one could get an audience with Deedsong, not even First Elder, who had been shut out when he sought to meet him. At this moment inside the exquisite-looking bedchamber, Song's appearance was ragged with an unkempt beard and eyes sinking in due to the lack of sleep. Yenner, it's already been 3 months. You've been asleep for 3 months. If you don't wake up soon, then our daughter won't be born. Do you not see? Our child is so strong. Even though you suffered so much damage, she didn't leave us. That's her way of telling us she wants to come to this world. For her sake and your own, please return to me. I know you can't bear to make her disappear, right? I won't let anything happen to you, I promise. Even if it costs me my all, I will let you live. Bringing his wife's hand up to his lip, he kisses it gently like some sort of vow on his part. Sadly, such emotional words didn't get any direct response from the Sleeping Beauty. But that doesn't mean there wasn't any. Right when the pained husband said all that like a summoning spell, the eyelashes around the woman's face clearly fluttered slightly, a clear sign she's reacting to something, just not sure what it was. In the depths of Bai Yan's consciousness, her soul was wandering through an endless void of light like she's searching for something. Mother! Mother! Suddenly, a faint and mild cry came from the rear and drew her attention. Xiachen! Finding that adorable and familiar face of her boy, Bai Yan didn't hesitate and ran up to give her son a tight hug. Perhaps it's the condition she's in, or she's just so used to the child's appearance already that she didn't notice. But the Bai Xiachen standing there wasn't normal in any way or form. Mother, why did you abandon me? Donning a purple robe with eyes red as a blood moon, there's grief and tear coming out of the boy's existence. You are my precious baby. How can I bear to abandon you? Bai Yan hugs even tighter after hearing those words. You did abandon me because you've forgotten about me. I clearly love you so much, Mother. I was looking forward to being with you, so why did you abandon me? The little boy's body shook non-stop after saying that, allowing his tears to freely flow down those cheeks as his hands clutched tightly around Bai Yan's sleeve. Am I a bad boy? That's why you don't want me? The more he spoke, the more saddened his voice became until it's starting to get a bit creep to the ear. Then without any indication, that innocent and cute face transformed. No longer the cuddly and lovable face, it's dark and dry like that of a ghoul. A being full of malice and hate for this world. Those who want to break us up all deserves to die. I will kill them all. This world doesn't need anyone else, it only needs us. 3-month 3. Greatly startled by the change, Bai Yan rigidly but surely loosened her arms around the boy and found what she dreaded and feared the most. There's not an ounce of the playfulness she's come to expect in her own son. There's only bloodthirstiness and death around this creature. But perhaps it's regret or the guilt. But this mother didn't push the ghoul-like creature away and instead wrapped her arms tightly around the boy's body. Gentle in her voice. Xiachen, I failed in protecting you back then and allowed you to leave me. In this life I promise you, I will not let any danger come your way, and not let anyone separate us again. Don't live with resentment and grudge, okay? The killing intent in the ghouls I didn't recede despite the plead, only growing stronger and worse. No, I'm going to kill everyone in the celestial realm. Everyone must die. Boom! Suddenly, an incredible force explodes out of the child's body, causing Bai Yan to stumble back a few steps and shocking the poor mother. Bai Yan couldn't even recognize her own son anymore at this point. Thankfully, the lady's motherly instinct kicked in and said contrary, otherwise she wouldn't be standing here anymore. Batty, you're not allowed to hurt Mother. It's then a light gushed out of the ghoul and attacked the red-eyed monster. With the exact same contour but with an energized life to that face, this child had big blue eyes that was clear as a summer day. Tu Xiachen? Bai Yan mumbles to herself in astonishment. Get lost. The ghoul version of the little steam bun cries out and raises a punch in self-defense from the other version of himself. You coward, can't even protect your own mother. If it wasn't for the fact that I would die if you do, then I would have killed you long ago. I am not a coward. Light Xiachen quickly gets up from the ground after being knocked over, his face stubborn. You will make Mother sad if you do this. I won't let anyone make her sad, not even myself. If you dare make her leak a drop of tear, then I will destroy myself. By then you won't exist anymore. Will she be sad? The little ghoul went silent, not saying a word. But those people made me leave her for so many years, I won't forgive them. What's more, I will make the people of this world pay for the pain I had to endure. Shocked by the two confronting boys that resembled her own son in different ways, one dark and one light, Bai Yin didn't know what to do. But right as she's about to approach the light version, since he gave off a gentler aura, the lady suddenly noticed the glimmer of sadness in the dark version. Immediately, a wave of guilt stopped her in her steps and caused those hands to reach out without thought. At first the resentment in the ghoul boy's eye still burned with fury, but that changed after the initial stiffness over the physical contact with the woman. Those small little hands also reached out reactively for a hug. However, right when the two's about to embrace each other heartily for comfort, a bloom of light emerges from both the dark and light version of the little steam bun, sending the two away in a blink of an eye. Xiachen. Anxious on the face now, Bai Yin searched everywhere for her child to no avail. There's only emptiness in this space, and the atmosphere was growing increasingly more unusual. It hurts. Crouching down, she clenches her chest at the constant thumping around the heart. She didn't miss the agony and pain the dark version showed. He must have been lonely with me. 3 month 4. It's at this precise moment that a golden light fell from above, shrouding and soaking the woman's body in its glow. It's like a spring, refreshing and rejuvenating Bai Yan's injury. And then, a frenzy ensues with her internal energy. The bottom divine middle rank, bottom divine high rank, middle divine bottom rank. Bai Yin appeared dumbfounded on the face as the energy poured into her core. She didn't know why that golden light would give her such huge breakthroughs. What is happening in the outside world? At the same time, back outside in the demon city, the sky has become riddled with thundering rumbles due to the ladies leveling up. It's violent and dangerous, sending all those weaker and afraid fleeing for their lives. Boom! As if called upon, a huge thunder strikes down, shattering the bedchamber in which Bai Yin slept and sending the building shattering into pieces. By the time the demons closest to the palace came back to their senses and realized what has happened, they all rushed for the epicenter in order to investigate. When they did so, all they saw were Deedsong holding that gorgeous queen of theirs in his arms, ignoring the constant attacks from the sky like it's unimportant. The king saved the queen with his own blood. That's the same as transferring an incredible amount of power into the queen. First elder stood behind crowd and explained. But why is this happening 3 months later? The blood should have roused this breakthrough long ago if it was effective. Sire. A guard hurriedly ran over, his face pale and anxious with sweat. The prince is awake, but something is wrong with him, like he's lost his mind. Despite the bad news, Deedsong didn't give any reactionary reply to the palace guard, only faintly smiling down at his lovely wife who was still asleep in her slumber. Yenna, you've been asleep long enough. It's been more than 3 months. If you don't wake up again, perhaps the one to go crazy won't be Xiachen, it will be me. Maybe his cry of pain was the final key, but Bai Yan's tightly closed eyes finally began to show signs of movement and began to flutter. Sure enough, as the woman slowly comes to, so did the thundering storm high above their heads disperse. Deedsong. Her murmur was full of infinite tenderness, causing Deedsong to sink even further into his love-stricken state until he couldn't pull out at all. Yenner, you're finally awake. Lips smiling, the Demon King's hair continues to blow with the wind, only a bit messy and without his original style of finesse. Even so, the woman there didn't mind the unkempt appearance. She only felt pain at his terrible state, reaching up with her hand to gently touch that burly chin. How did you become like this? Will you not like me anymore if I'm like this? No, I will take you no matter what you become. Whether it be the haggard version of him, or the peerless version of him, I will take him as is. That brought on a huge grin to the dumb man's face. He's given her his all, and in return she's willing to accept him as is. Regardless of him being strong or powerful, weak or frail, she would take him still. 3 month 5. But I am willing to use my best posture and style to accompany you for life. It doesn't matter if you don't mind, Yenner. I still want to look my best around you. Deedsong's sweet words were honey to the ear, leaving those females nearby sour and grouchy from jealousy. Oh right, I was dreaming just now. I saw 2 Zyakins in there arguing with each other. One is the Xiachen who always accompanied me, the other is one I never met before. It hurts me inside when I saw him like that, saddened and angry. Deedsong's hand stalled for a second when the topic was brought up. It's obvious he knows the reasoning and why such a creature would appear in his wife's dream. You know what's going on, right? Bai Yin catches on and pressed for an answer. It took a while for the protective husband to reply, but he did, and it wasn't pleasant. Do you still remember that dream where you died while being still pregnant? A touch of pain filled the lady's heart at the mention. The child died before he was born, so it left a resenting grudge in his soul. When reincarnated, the grudge will follow him. In other words, Bai Xiachen only had one soul and not two like some would presume, but because of that tragic death in his previous life, the resentment followed suit and created two differing personalities. Because of hatred, his strength is abnormally strong, but it's also because of that hatred that he cannot control that part of himself. I originally wanted to use my powers to subdue that wisp of grudge for a while, but in order to reassure his wife, the man inches closer to act as support. He can no longer be provoked again, otherwise he will lose control completely. Tensing up with unease. Then what are we going to do about Xiachen? Don't worry, Yenner, that resenting grudge doesn't have a soul of its own, so he can't replace our boy. If he does anything to Xiachen, then he too will suffer the consequences. However, I'm only worried about the grudge occupying his body. I have to find a way to make it disappear forever. Disappear forever? Bai Yan's complexion went visibly whiter at the notion. She hasn't forgotten the intense pain and grievance in the dark Xiachen's face when they met. Yenner, I know you're reluctant to do that, but a wisp of grudging resentment doesn't have a soul, meaning it's not an actual life form. If it was otherwise, I wouldn't take this route either. Shaking her head in disagreement, Bai Yan clings onto her husband's sleeve. There must be another way. I saw how much sadness there was in his eyes. How can I abandon him when I couldn't protect him properly before? He's still my child regardless of what he has become. Even if he doesn't have a soul, even if there is no life, even if he's only some sort of resenting grudge, he still called me mother. Seeing the anxious face from his wife, Ditsong knew he couldn't say no. With a faint smile. Okay, we will find another way. I'm sure there's some method to please everyone. 3 months, 6. Shook by the amount of love she herself was getting despite not doing as much, Bai Yan's face was all full of guilt and apology. Ditsong, I'm sorry. You don't have to say sorry. I only don't want you to be sad, that's all. For that goal, I'm willing to give my everything for you. Hearing the dialogue between the couple, First Elder, who had originally wanted to speak up, began to hesitate. It's no secret that two souls are unable to occupy a single body. It would create too much conflicting interests, let alone a resenting grudge from a past life. However, that doesn't mean the others here are aware of this fact. Sire, the guard who came earlier to report the little steambun's condition spoke again, his body shaky from discomfort. The prince has lost his mind. Would you like to go see him? Like before, Ditsong didn't pay too much attention to the message that's meant for him, but that doesn't mean Bai Yan wouldn't. Right after the palace guard made that report, the woman immediately jumped down from her husband's arm and shouted, "Why are you still standing there for? Hurry and lead the way." "Yes, Queen." The poor guard complies and wipes the sweat from his face. It's always like this whenever Her Highness is around. The king will ignore the prince and focus only on the queen. Thankfully, Her Highness is a normal mother, otherwise the prince will be too pitiful. Inside the room, Bai Xiachen had calmed down from his rampaging state by this point and was huddling in the corner of his bedside, staring mindlessly at the air like some damaged product. Thankfully, this troublesome picture didn't last long because his ears perked up as soon as they picked up the familiar footsteps he's been so accustomed to. "Mother!" He bolted for the door and nearly crashed right into Bai Yan's body. Fortunately, his eyes were sharp and noticed the big bump along the belly that made him stop in the nick of time and return to his well-behaved and happy self in the past. Ditsong followed right from behind his wife there. When he saw the wagging tail picture of his son, this biased father couldn't deny he felt a bit of relief from this. The only blemish he had to complain about was the little guy's reddish eye. It's the sign that he's not all right, and this peace was only temporary. Bai Yan, on the other hand, didn't care so much and only knew her boy was safe before her eyes. Bending down, she gives him a huge warm hug without saying anything. "Mother, what's the matter? I can't breathe." Turning red in his little face, the boy was apparently suffocating under those arms. "Just now they said you lost your mind. That scared me to death. Thank goodness you're fine." "Oh, that bastard was trying to take over my body again. I kicked him out as soon as I can because I know he will make you sad, mother. Under normal circumstances, that pang of resentment wouldn't be able to overcome the real Xiachen. That was unless he got stimulated by some sort of traumatic event. In that case, anything was up for grabs. Going numb inside, Bai Yan wanted to slap herself for the failure. Xiachen, no matter what happens, you will always be mother's son, you understand? I don't care if it's that version of you or this version, I don't care. No. The little steam bun unexpectedly shakes his head in refute. Mother, just now me and that bastard saw you in our dream. He was relatively normal until he took control of my body. I can tell he was very angry, and might even hurt you because he won't be able to recognize anyone. I'm afraid he will end up doing something I will regret. Bai Yan had nothing to add to that because she didn't know what to say. Just the memory of that dark version would bring excruciating heartache to the woman herself, especially those sorrowful and sad eyes. It's pounding and ripping at her inside. Anyways, mother, why is your tummy so much bigger as soon as I wake up? Is my sister about to come out? That said, the boy's contrasting red and blue eyes were sparkling with lustering light like the stars in the sky. 3 months, 6. Only then did Bai Yan notice her own belly, who was much larger than before. Flashing a look of surprise. Ditsong, how long did I say asleep? 3 months. Ditsong answers with his gentle voice. This news undoubtedly brought a sigh of relief for the expected mother, because 3 months meant there are still some time before she goes into labor. Imagine not waking up. Then that really would be catastrophic. Promise me, Ditsong, you must wake me up no matter what happens in the future. I don't want my baby to be in any danger. Tightly holding his wife's hand. Sorry, I failed to protect you. If I had appeared earlier, perhaps Yenner wouldn't have suffered such a serious injury. It's not your fault, Ditsong. It's me who left by myself, so the fault is not yours. That said, Bai Yan then shifts her attention over to her son. Xiachen, I'm glad you are safe. If something like this happens again, you must promise me to not come out again, okay? She cares about that wisp of grudge inside, there's no question about that. But she also equally worried for the main soul. If somehow one overcomes the other, then what was she going to do? Bai Yan couldn't bear to destroy one to save the other. Careful and gentle in his hands, Bai Xiachen wraps himself around that bulging belly. I will protect you, mother, if not. If I can't do it, then I would rather disappear on my own. Casting his eyes downward in a dejected manner, if only that bastard didn't lose control whenever he takes control of our body, otherwise I can still work with him. Now the only way to make him sane is to use that method, but it will mean me leaving mother forever. What am I supposed to do? There are tears filling those eyes of his, making the boy look all the more pitiful. Oh, Xiachen. Leaning down to give her son a hug, Bai Yan didn't notice the abnormality of her son's behavior. You will not disappear, I won't let that happen. Making a huge grin at the promise, those words were honey to the boy's ear. I am very fond of mother too, so I don't want to leave either. I can't, besides, the boy still hasn't taken care of his sister yet. What if the other version of himself starts bullying her? So, whether it be for this world or his little sister, the little steam bun didn't have the heart to leave for good. By the way, where's Dragoni? Bai Yan suddenly thought of something which caused her to raise an eyebrow. Normally she would run to me whenever I wake up. How come she's not here? Ditsong was taken aback by the reminder. According to his memory, the lass hasn't shown herself ever since everyone arrived at the city and came to the newly constructed palace here. The old goat had the answer to the question. Shaky in his tone. She already left. Left. Bai Yan's heart sunk as a look of unease filled the poor lady's eye. You said Dragoni left, where? She shouldn't have anyone familiar in this place. Dead one? She had already left when I went back to find her. Here's the note from the last that I found. Dragon Flame saw the anxious expression along the woman's face and knew he must explain himself. Taking letter as handed, Bai Yan's complexion went visibly paler after reading its content. Dragoni's gone? How is she supposed to stay safe? This is not the demon realm. There's too many dangers around. Ditsong, you must send someone to find her. The poor mother's voice rippled with panic and fear, showing how anxious she truly was inside. Hurrying to give his wife a hug to calm her swinging mood. It's okay, Yenner, I will do exactly that. Don't worry too much. That girl's bloodline belongs to that person, so she might not necessarily be in as much danger as you think. Perhaps this outing by herself is a chance for her to grow. You should know by being with us she won't be able to mature. Don't worry. How can I not worry? Dragoni is only a child at heart, not to mention she's girl. What if some bad people start picking or hurting her? She gets frightened easily. It was not easy for her to find a safe harbor with us after all the grievances she went through since birth. Why would she leave us all of a sudden? Even though Dragoni wasn't her biological daughter, Bai-yin nevertheless treats the girl as her own and never once considered her an outsider. So how could she not be afraid and worried? It's ridiculous to consider otherwise. Then I'll have my people go search right away. Turning around to the palace guards behind himself, Di-song snaps with harshness despite the other side doing nothing. Didn't you hear your queen's order? Go and find the princess now. Yes, your majesty. Complying, the remainder of the demons left in rapid succession. Don't worry, Yenner, I've sent them all out. It won't be long until we locate her. Perhaps it's due to the low hoarse voice of the man's tone, but it was enough to bring the panic-stricken lady out of her swinging mood. Di-song, I know the reasoning of her choice, but her heart is so innocent and kind. I can't bear knowing there are sinister characters out there who might take advantage of this fact. The price of learning the hard truth is too high for someone like her. That said, she then gives her tummy a rub. This opinion of mine has only grown stronger now that I have a second one coming. I would rather my children grow up in mediocrity than to live a life of hardship just because they want to be exceptional. Mother. The little steam bun tugs at his mother's sleeve after hearing all those heartfelt words. I know Dragoni also wants to protect you. Just like I want to protect you. Believe in us. Once she gets stronger, then she will return to us. I know I will if I was in her case. Bai-yan's heart shook at the sensibleness of her lovely and cuddly boy. Smiling on the face. You are right, Xiachen, if Dragoni insists on leaving, then there's nothing we can do. Even if we locate her, it doesn't mean she would willingly come back. I don't want to force anything on her, so Di-song, you only need to have your people locate Dragoni and protect her in the shadows. I only need to know she's safe. Dead too. All right. Gently stroking his fingers through his wife's hair, Di-song's warm, gentle smile was dazzling despite his ragged appearance. She is a daughter you took in, so she is mine as well. I won't let others hurt our children. That remark brought a displeased look from the little steam bun, puckering his lips to the side. Batty father, how come you're never this good to me? Sweeping over his gaze immediately at the jab, the Demon King's look was hard and stern like a father lecturing a child. You are the prince of the demon realm, a man of our D family. As a man, you have a duty to protect your mother and sister. How do you expect me to spoil you if you got that on your shoulder? That didn't make the young boy angry at all. Instead, it brought a burning fire of proudness to the kid's face. You are right, Batty father, I am a man, and a man is used to spoil girls. I will assume the heavy responsibility of protecting mother and my sister, as well as the citizens of the demon realm. Watching the two males in her life acting so childish and silly, Bai-yan's tensed heart up until now finally died down. In fact, she was so amused that a giggle escaped her lips before she could turn back to the old goat and snake. Anyways, I've been meaning to ask you two before. How come the both of you are still here despite me breaking the contract with you two? Dragonflame didn't respond right away, only carefully looking towards Di-song for help. When the old goat saw the Demon King had no intention of intervening, a rock could be heard dropping inside over the lack of attention. How come he's looking at me like he doesn't know me? I'm not wrong, the energy signature from his soul is clearly the same as that one. Also, why does it look like no one remembers anything? And how did he become the king of a demon realm? But, despite all the woes and questions hovering around the old goat's heart, he didn't bring it to the open and kept it inside for now. In my impression of humanity, your kind have always been sinister, cunning, cruel, and vicious. But you changed my opinion of that because you didn't use us as shields during time of danger. You set us free, for that I am grateful. This time I am willing to contract with you of my own volition. This decision from the old goat was beyond what Bai-yan expected, and that caused her to raise a brow. She didn't have any other motives when lifting the contracts with these two before. After all, she was going to die anyways according to her own assumption. Why drag someone else down with her? Not like they have some sort of deep grudge for one another. You don't hate me anymore? I remember you wanted to skin me alive and drink my blood. That's what you said, wasn't it? That comment instantly roused a drop of cold sweat from the poor elder's face. Dragonflame could already see the death glare coming off of Deedsong from the corner of his eye. Skin her alive and drink her blood? I wouldn't dare, even if she gave me 100 hearts. Quickly wiping the cold sweat from his forehead, Dragonflame hurries to explain. I only said those stuff because I wasn't willing to be your servant. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Moreover, am I not willing to be your servant now? Bai Yin just smiled there, turning to Half Qing Sing for her thought. Is your decision the same as his? Biting those lips, do I even have a choice here? If I don't agree, then Dragonflame will definitely get payback on me. Will I make it out of here alive otherwise? I don't have a problem with it. Alright, since this is your decision, then I will continue to contract with you both. Due to the pressuring aura from Deedsong and the willingness of both demons, Bai Yin didn't have much trouble or resistance in this attempt. After closing her eyes, the lady's feelers were able to easily sign her signature within their souls. Dead 3. Half Qing Sing promptly showed a surprised expression after the ritual was complete because of what she sensed. Before, the relationship between herself and Bai Yin was that of slave and mistress, meaning she had to do whatever the woman said under duress. However, this time she's been upgraded to a servant familiar status, meaning she's still connected, but her life's not on the line anymore and could refuse an order if she doesn't like it. I'm done forming the contract with the both of you now, so the two of you can go back to your rooms if you like. Turning to her husband, Deedsong, is my mother here? I want to go see her. Okay, I'll take you to her. She's in the neighboring garden around the back of the palace. Sitting inside a pavilion constructed at the middle of a man-made pond, Bai Ning was currently staring up into the open sky like she's lost in thought about something. But her trance didn't last long when the familiar sound of footsteps brought her back to reality. You've broken into the middle divine level, the woman asks in astonishment after noticing her daughter's breakthrough. Bai Yin faintly nods in confirmation. Yes, mother, I just did after waking up. I see that huge disturbance is because of you then. Slowly coming forward, those tender eyes of this mother surprisingly turns to her son-in-law instead. Can I have a moment with my daughter? I have a few things I like to speak to her about. Deedsong naturally wouldn't object and nodded in agreement. I'll wait for you in the front. Take your time if you need to. Okay, Deedsong, don't worry, it won't be too long. That said, Bai Yin returns her gaze back over to Bai Ning's face. Their contour was very similar, close enough to be called sisters even if not for the age difference. No matter how well maintained Bai Ning's contour was, she's still coming up to 40 in age. There's bound to be some subtle differences between the two. For example, the lady was much more mature and had on an air of strength from experience that Bai Yin lacked. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. Yenner, I'll admit I was initially very dissatisfied with this husband of yours at the beginning, but it seems I'm wrong about him from the start. He cares about you a lot and I can see that now. Patting her daughter's hand, Bai Ning's smile was all tender and kind, marred only by the speck of sadness in the woman's eyes due to her own yearning for the other half. 20 years, I wonder how he's doing now. Is he okay? Mother, do you remember everything from the past now? Asked Bai Yin after a minute of silence. Nodding at that. Yes, I remember your grandfather, your uncle, and your father. I only found out about his background when I was being pursued by those assassins back then. Don't you think it's ironic? Me and him are both heirs to our respective sects and schools, yet we never once met each other until then because of our reclusive nature. If I had known about everything then, would we have come to this point? Turn out this way. In this life, the one I've wronged the most is to you, Yenner. When I was being chased, I couldn't make it back to the medicine sect and hand you over to your grandfather. In the end, I could only rely on a reliable acquaintance to keep you safe. By the way, is Lan Yu doing well? She asks after suddenly remembering that kind and gentle friend of hers. Unfortunately, the answer of good news didn't come as expected because Bai Yan's reply left an audible thud to the heart. She has passed away. She has passed away. Those words rung with an indiscernible sensation inside Bai Ning's chest. Clenching those hands, It's obvious this lady was having trouble coming to terms with this fact and what that information hinted to. Dead for. How can this be? Quickly tell me. If Lan Yu passed away, then how was your childhood? Bai Yin didn't keep anything hidden, and went over the details in full to her biological mother. From the happy times according to her memory, and the sad and difficult ones where she had to run away from that household. Bai Ning naturally became outraged over the maltreatment of her daughter by that scum of a stepfather, but the woman's anger quickly turned to pain and regret. There's no doubt in her mind that Lan Yu would have taken good care of Bai Yin, just that she never expected her dear friend to pass away so early on in her years. As a result, she could be said to have indirectly pushed the young girl into suffering so much wrong during her youth. I should have kept her with me that day. Why did I decide to leave her behind? But you don't have to feel sorry for me, mother. Even if I suffered a lot in those years, I still had my brother Shower by my side. Now I also have Deetsong and Shachin, so I'm very happy. Upon mentioning her own brother who has always stood by her side, Bai Yan's lips inexplicably curved into a heartwarming smile. Sure, they haven't seen each other in a while after they went their separate ways that day. But this sister knows her younger brother had also come to the celestial realm. As long as they're walking on the same land, then they are bound to reunite someday. That Bai Xiao is indeed a good child. I hope I can meet him someday and even take him as my godson. Bai Ning says that with a slight chuckle. In those years it was Bai Xiao who persistently stood by Bai Yan's side, so the amount of merit he earned with Bai Ning's heart was monumental. She couldn't even begin to imagine otherwise if there wasn't this emotional support. Your husband is also pretty good. That day your injury should have been lethal thanks to that keeper Ling. But your husband saved you with his essence blood. What did you say? Seeing the urgency, Bai Ning didn't keep her daughter hanging and mistakenly thought it was because she now knows about the Demon King's identity. I already know he's a demon. Don't worry, I'm not like those worldly people out there who can't see past the norm, not to mention he went that far for your sake. If I don't accept him, then it's me who's in the wrong. Visit my site on Cat Translation if you wish to read ahead of public releases. She didn't like Deetsong before, because she didn't want to have Bai Yin be hurt by a bad man. Now that she's confirmed that's not the case, there's no reason left to hate him. Pale in the face, Bai Yin presses for more info despite the reassurance. How much blood did he bleed out? Probably about half a bowl? Boom! Like a thunderbolt striking down at her head, Bai Yan's mind was blown away as her legs stumbled back a few steps. For a demon and demonic beast, their essence blood was equivalent to their life. For example, if a demon could live for 1,000 years, then they would undoubtedly suffer greatly in their lifespan. Now imagine half a bowl's worth. That would be lethal to some of the weaker demons. That idiot, he really doesn't want to live anymore, does he? Please wait, mother, I'll be right back very soon. Gnashing her teeth in frustration, Bai Yin didn't wait another second and dashed for the exit where her husband was waiting under a peach blossom tree. How did the talk with mother-in-law go? Oblivious to the mistake he himself did, Deetsong asks with a dashing smile that only got enhanced due to the pink petals slowly drifting onto his robe. Running up fast to choke onto his collar, Bai Yin sounded furious. Deetsong, did you use your own essence blood to save me? Did mother-in-law tell you that? Dead 5. Do you know what it means to do this? The loss of your essence blood will detrimentally reduce your lifespan. How many years do you have to live? Deetsong understood why his wife would be so agitated and anxious. Without any argument, he rubs his hands around hers and starts making flirting plays. My dear Yenner is still as grumpy as ever, just the way I like it. After saying that, the shameless Demon King didn't give any chance for the woman to retort and leaned in to smooch her lips. Don't fret, Yenner, losing a bit of my lifespan is nothing. I am strong and will continue to grow stronger. When I do, my lifespan will naturally increase in kind. You know, there is a level where one can become immortal and free from the reigns of death. But that's too hard, she murmurs helplessly. How difficult can it be? As long as I can continue to live with you, then I will definitely reach that state eventually. By then not even the cycle of life and death can separate us. How could he bear to leave her alone in this world? Even if it means he would have to struggle for the rest of his life, Deetsong has every intent to enhance his own strength to the upper limits this body would sustain. By then, not even life or death could constrain him. Loosening her hands around his collar. I hope it really will be as you say otherwise. Turning sharp and commanding like a queen. If you leave me suddenly one day, then even if I have to flip over hell itself, I will take you back and fix you myself. Chuckling with amusement over that threat, the man couldn't resist anymore and hugs her for a deep French kiss. That's his answer, his vow to her. Unaware of it themselves, their picturesque play of intimacy under the peach blossom tree had been seen entirely from start to finish by Bai Ning. She's been standing at one corner of the doorway, and against her daughter's happiness, this mother couldn't ask for a better outcome. Thank goodness Yenner has such a good husband. Now I don't have to worry about anything after I leave here. Casting her eyes downward in thought, the image of Keeper Ling's old face popped up again, which caused a distortion of anger and hate in that expression. Keeper Ling, Celestial Palace. I will one day destroy you all for hurting my daughter. You bastards will pay for what you've done. With one final glance at her daughter, Bai Ning's body completely disappears from the pond to carry out her vengeance. Unaware of her mother's departure, Bai Yin was still lost in her dreamy moment. Pushing her husband away. Be careful you. Don't press too hard. Otherwise you might hurt the baby. Following the mention of the baby, Di Song's gaze slowly shifted to the bumpy belly down below. And exactly then the baby seems to have heard their complaint. To show her existence, the tiny life in there actually kicked the poor mother's belly and sent Bai Yan's gasping for air. What's the matter? Asked Di Song with nervous eyes, shaking her head with a sweet smile. There's no problem, the baby is probably anxious to come out and kicked me. Going black in the face, Di Song's stern gaze locked onto the belly. If you dare to hurt your mother again, then I will slap your bottom when you come out. This one's existence already forced him to stop spending the night with his wife. Now she's also hurting her? How could this doting husband endure? Oh Di Song, making a helpless face at her hubby's behavior. This is normal you silly. A baby is bound to kick me sometimes. I don't care how others do it, but I won't let my child do it. That said, the overly protective husband started to make a ridiculous face of unreasonableness. If she kicks you one more time, then I will rope her up and beat her bottom once she's born. Celestial Fox's blood won. Bai Yan's face went black. If the baby is a girl, then she would become Xiaqin's precious little sister. Do you think he will still recognize you as his father if you beat the baby? What does it matter if he recognizes me as his father or not? I only need you anyways. This sentence really does match up to that old saying, a wife is true love and the child is an accident. The only regret Di Song has out of this relationship would be how fast the children came into their life. Now he couldn't even get some free time to spend alone with his wife. Of course, if it wasn't for his boy's presence, perhaps Bai Yan wouldn't have accepted him so quickly, and he knew that much. Celestial Palace. Keeper Ling has been moping around in the main hall for a while now. His expression burdensome and tired, like he's contemplating something heavy. Eventually a sigh escaped that mouth. Where exactly did that little thing come from? The power he wielded, why did I fear it so much? Growing sharp in the eye at the thought. Such a pity I couldn't make sure I sniffed the life out of that girl. With the Demon King's blood saving her, she's likely alive again. Should I inform the other keepers of this matter? Respected keeper, Miss Ruoshi is seeking an audience with you. Despite the sudden interruption of a guard, Keeper Ling didn't angry and even eased up on his sour face. She's back? Go ahead, let her in. Yes, keeper. But the order was unnecessary because the door had already been pushed open by a hand without any summoning. Under the glistening light of the sun, a woman wearing a light blue dress slowly strolls in, her elegance and grace unmatched in these halls. How did things go on your end, Roshi? Keeper Ling, casting her eyes down like some dejected maiden. I am incompetent, please forgive me. I failed to take down that demonic city and its invaders. Thankfully I was able to confirm one thing though. That woman is alive again. Unfazed by the expected news, the old-timer didn't sound angry and even grew more tender in his voice. Don't let it get to you, it's not your fault. I in fact have met that woman already, so your outcome is within my expectation. Taken aback by the news, the woman stares out in shock. You've seen her? Yes, it should be her reincarnation. Coincidentally, she's also going by the surname Bai and called Yen. She's even the daughter of that detested Bai Ning. Boom! Horrified on the face, A visible look of panic filled Yun Ruoshi's existence. Didn't that woman fall underground? How can Keeper Ling still meet her? Did she secretly escape somehow? But you don't have to worry too much. You are the destined one. The world will rally behind you. As for that wretched lass, she's the scourge of this world. Nothing good will come her way. Unlike his attitude toward others, Keeper Ling held Yun Ruoshi in very high regard, so his tone has never been harsh or mean. Unfortunately, the constant reminder of the fact that she's the destined one only made the lady there glum with agitation. Make no mistake, Yun Ruoshi wasn't so oblivious to the world that she would think she's the real destined one. Everything in her possession was stolen from by Yen in the past. Unless the real owner dies, she could never be at ease or live her life in comfort. Celestial Fox's blood, too. I understand your concerns, Keeper Ling. I won't dwell on the matter anymore. After all, she and I are not of the same world in the end. That said, Yun Ruoshi then looks up to meet the elder's gaze, that face confident and proud. That's right, me and her are no longer the same grade of people anymore. I'm high and mighty, she's low and filthy like dirt. It's just a matter of time before I end her for good. I'm happy you understand that. If you're tired, then go back and rest first. Oh right, is that protection amulet showing any reactions yet? The elder asks with a faint smile as well. Clutching the pendant around her neck, the lady reluctantly answers. Do you know that woman has a son? Nodding. Yes, I've met him already. Her son can suddenly gain immense strength and become like a whole new person. I couldn't overcome that boy when I encountered him. It was the protection amulet that saved me in the final moments. I'm sorry, but I simply can't control my amulet as I wish in my state. Casting her eyes down, her look was all apologetic to suit her words. But my amulet wasn't like this before. That woman accidentally dripped her blood on it when we fought all those years ago. You know it too, I am the destined one, all hope lies with me. As for her, she's the doom of our world, so imagine her dirty blood tainting the amulet. It has caused severe damage because of that reasoning. Due to the lies spouting from that mouth, the elder's already disgruntled face had evolved into that of pure hatred and murder. It's no wonder that wretched lass is that Bai Ning's daughter. They are a perfect match for one another. If it wasn't for that person damaging the amulet, would Ruoshi's strength grow so slowly? Making a bittersweet smile to put the final nail in the coffin. You shouldn't get angry for my sake, Keeper Ling. You know it as well, there are some people who are just evil-hearted inside and would never change. During the period where it was only me and her in the wild, she had always used me as a shield to keep herself safe. But for the sake of all the years of companionship we shared, I couldn't bear to cut off the relationship. Pausing to let her meaning sink in, she could see it was time to make herself shine even further. But everyone has a limit, I'm no different. When I learned of her wanting to use the entire inhabitants of the celestial realm as her own stepping stone, that's when I lost it and couldn't tolerate her sinister deeds anymore. How could someone be so evil and cruel inside? She would destroy everyone just for her own self-interest. Just imagining what would have come to if I didn't stop her frightens me to the core. The more she spoke, the more righteous the lying bitch was sounding until it's almost moral-raising. Against this change, Keeper Ling was taking it very well and eased up like an elder watching their child growing up. Raising a hand to pat the lady's shoulder. It's okay, Roshi, just go back and get a good rest. The way she treated will be paid back in full, you can be sure of it. Thank you, Keeper Ling. I don't know how to repay your kindness. Taking a half bow to show her gratitude, Yun Ruoshi deliberately lowered her head again to hide that devious smirk underneath. But please, I know she is a sinner that can never be redeemed. However, I hope that you can at least give this incarnation of her a chance. Even if I know she will not change, I still hope you would. Celestial Fox's blood 3. Narrowing his old eyes, Keeper Ling's aura returns to that frosty chill. Give her a chance? How outrageous. That wretched woman has already shown her true colors time and time again. Forget about giving her a chance, I wouldn't even give her a chance to be reincarnated for a third time. Despite his own opinion on the matter, the elder didn't have the heart to downright refute the girl and hurt her feelings. Smiling with a nod. All right, if she is willing to repent, then I'll give her a chance. Of course, she must first exile herself and leave the bounds of the demon realm, then I'll give her the opportunity. Otherwise. Thank you, Keeper Ling. Drawing a bright smile on her face, She arches her fist and retreats for the exit where she revealed her true nature. There's only a sinister smirk left. Is the Celestial Lord back yet? Yunrua, she asks the guard after making sure no one's seeing. No, milady, the Celestial Lord hasn't returned. All right, I understand. If you notice his return, then come inform me right away. There's bitterness in her voice then. She knows the love of her doom was also her poison. Yet she couldn't deny him and was willing to throw herself into that flame. Demon City. Inside the luxurious palace that was only constructed here in recent months, Baiyan loafs around in a lazy fashion like she normally does. It's then, without any forewarning, a white figure schemes through the lady's sight and roused her attention. Normally Baiyan would be quite alarmed to be intruded upon in her own home, and without anyone by her side. But this person was someone she recognized. Without hesitation, she got up from the bed to meet the new guest. How come you are here? She asks the person who had stopped moving under the peach blossom tree. Ever since that day where he saved her within the holy domain, she hasn't seen Chui God again. I came to see you in order to offer a solution in saving your son. He explains with a complex light in those eyes. A way to save Xiachen? The lady's eye tightened up at the notion. Do you know the cause behind it? Forming a thin smile along his lips, Chui God didn't hide anything. Yes, when I treated him before during the first time, I had already known how to save him. There are only two ways. One is to destroy the resenting grudge inside his body. The second is to have them merge together and become one. However, the second method will require the consent of the grudge, and a key component. What component? Baiyan asks with a furrowed face. The blood of a celestial fox. The blood of a celestial fox? Startled by the name of said creature, Baiyan searched through her own memories to no avail. She's never heard of such a fox in her life. Your husband should know this already. I speculate the reason he didn't tell you before I did is because of the dangerous terrain the animal lives in. That place is called the Cloud Mountain. If you weren't pregnant, then the risk might not be an issue, but the way you are now. As expected, Baiyan went silent at first before breaking out a shallow smile. I know Ditsong is worried about me and doesn't want me to take the risks in my state. I'm sure he was intending to go by himself at some point. But I am me, I have never been one to hide behind a man. Celestial Fox's blood for. And? Baiyan narrows her eyes onto the man. I am very grateful to you for saving my son, and I am also thankful for you saving me back in the holy domain. I owe you a lot and I will never forget your kindness in this life. However, Ditsong's status within my heart is irreplaceable. I won't allow anyone to say something bad about my husband. Chui God may not be openly hostile towards Ditsong, but the underlying meaning of his words didn't escape Baiyan's ear. If there's no ill intent, then they could still be friend, but vice versa. If for her husband's sake, she won't mind distancing herself from this mysterious man. Clenching the hands behind his back, that warning from the lady definitely hit a sore spot. You're overthinking the matter. I've come to tell you because I wish to. You don't owe me anything. If anything, it's I who owes you. If anything, it's I who owes you. Baiyan's heart stung over those words. For some reason she got this strange sensation that someone had said that to herself before. Suddenly, the handsome face of Chui Feng returns to her mind, causing a loud bang in her head like it's about to explode. That's right, Chui Feng also mentioned something similar like that in the past, where he probably owes her for a past life's debt. But what does this man have to do with Yi Feng? Clenching her fist at all the unknown hovering over this issue. I've told you before that I have a friend with a face exactly like yours. I'm going to ask again, do you and him share some sort of relationship? The man didn't answer right away, only staring at her like he's trying to gauge something. I'm sorry, I'm afraid there's nothing I can say. Pressing forward by stepping into his personal space, there was no way Baiyan would let this go so easily. What do you mean by that? Are you implying he is indeed related to you? You will find out eventually, but not now. That said, the tenseness in Chui God's clenched fist began to loosen. And I suggest you hurry and go find a celestial fox. The sooner the better. Why so? Narrowing up her eyes, Baiyan didn't understand why the urgency, especially when she's still heavily pregnant. At the very least she should go after going through labor to reduce the risk. Because the celestial fox will only appear when a fox is born. The baby in your stomach is not a normal one, so it will undoubtedly lure one to your side. Now this has left the poor woman in a bind. She knows that if Deetsong finds out, then he would never allow her to go out during her pregnant state. In fact, Bai Yan has no doubt her husband would tie her up if he must, just to keep her at home. Also, you should bring your son along for the trip if possible. A celestial fox's blood is best used when it's fresh. That's when it has the greatest effect. Furthermore, that species of the fox kind hated man the most. They won't show themselves if they smell the scent. As for Bai Xiachen, he's only a kid, his presence shouldn't matter. Having said this, Chewy God then met the woman's eye with his own before handing over an item. I've said everything I need to say. Take this, it's a jade card that can call for me. If the Celestial Palace ever comes to make trouble for you, go ahead and snap the card in half. I will come at my fastest speed. Startled by the offer, Bai Yan first glanced at the man, then down to the card in her hands. She's troubled by the idea of relying on this person who she barely knew. But right when she wanted to return the item to its owner, Chewy God was already gone. Nowhere to be seen in front of herself. Celestial Fox's blood 5. I believe that as my child you will be very strong and survive. So, if you are willing to let me go to find the Celestial Fox in order to save your older brother, then give me a sign by kicking me 3 times. But if you don't agree, then kick me twice. Whatever you choose, I will respect your opinion. Bai Xiachen was her child, as was the fetus in her belly. If Bai Yan's going to take the risk with her, then she would need the consent of the unborn baby. Bump! 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 As if able to understand her words, the fetus actually kicked her 3 times as requested and shocked the poor mother. Really? You're able to understand me? Alright, if you agree then kick me twice this time, and if you disagree then kick me 3 times. Bump! Bump! This time there's no mistake, the baby does understand her. Now that you agree to your brother, we'll find a way to locate a celestial fox and save your brother. That said, she then starts to muse over the options. Firstly, she mustn't let Deetsong find out about what she's up to, otherwise the idea would be tossed out without a second thought. That means she must leave quietly. Mother! It's then a soft cuddly voice rushes over from the rear and causes the woman to swing around like a thief that's been caught. Thankfully it was only her son. Once she recognized who it was. How come you're here, Xiachen? Where's your father? Asked Bai Yan with a soft tender voice of her own. Answering without a second thought to his mother's inner plan. Batty father and first elder needs to go out for something and won't be back until evening. They said to keep you company, mother. He's not here. A sigh of relief swept over the woman's face. Listen to me, Xiachen. I have found a way to completely integrate that grudge within your body. Now neither of you have to disappear. Blinking those eyes of his, the boy didn't object and continued to listen. But, we will have to make a trip to somewhere. You need to come with me. Giving a happy nod. I will listen to you, mother, but my little sister is going to be born soon, so how are we supposed to go out? Is it safe? The reminder about safety definitely hit a sore spot for the desperate mother. I have no choice. In regards to Chewy God stuff about using a fox's blood and such, she does trust him. It's unreasonable to trust a stranger so heavily, but that's what the heart tells her to believe. Okay, if that's what you want, mother. Batty father said it already. If he's not home, then I am the man of this family. I won't let anyone harm you or my little sister. Patting his chest, the kid says it proudly that left Bai Yan warm to the heart. Don't worry, Xiachen, whether it be you or him, I won't let either of you disappear. Smiling brilliantly. If mother likes him, then I can accept him, but I won't leave you no matter what. Otherwise I will feel lonely in that sea of bitter hell. In front of Bai Yan, he's always going to be that good and obedient child. Aching over how sensible her boy was, Bai Yan couldn't take it anymore and pulled him into a bear hug. Don't worry, I promise everything will be alright. Celestial Fox's blood 6. Bai Xiachen didn't say nothing more as he hugged his head against Bai Yan's chest with that big bright smile. Come then, let's head out before your father returns. That said, she promptly lets go of her son and led the way for the exit, holding the boy's hand along the way. At the main gate leading out of the courtyard, 2 guards were mindlessly bored out of their minds right now when they saw the woman and boy coming out. Immediately, They straightened up their backs and got sharp in order to keep up appearances. Queen Prince, might we ask where you are going? Quickly coming up with an excuse. I'm finding the room stuffy and bored here, so I'm taking Shachin out for a walk. We'll be back very soon, so there's no need to inform Deetsong. Naturally, the guards posted here wouldn't dare stop her. After all, this queen of theirs were the king's treasure. If so much as a scratch befalls the lady, then they might as well offer up their heads on their own. Just like that, Bai Yin was able to easily bypass the palace guards using this excuse until she was stepping foot into the city streets. Meanwhile, at the same time, not far away in a mountain range, Deetsong was standing stoically atop of a ridge when his mood went afoul for unknown reasons. However, as soon as this doting husband recalled the image of his lovely wife waiting at home for him, a smile would escape his lips to wow the world. It's mesmerizing, daunting even for the faint of heart, which in turn left many of the female demons nearby gasping for breath. A humph. First Elder didn't miss the behavior from the crowd gathered below, and hurried to correct his liege's unintentional mistake. Doesn't the king know his smile can kill? What if some of the demonesses get some funny idea because of your smile? That will make the queen very unhappy. Realizing he shouldn't act that way as well, Deetsong quickly restored himself back to that dominant and cold demon king that they all expect of him. So all of you are from the nearby demon tribes? In the celestial realm, most demonic beasts have long been subjugated into slavery or familiar contracts at the hands of the humans living here. Only few and sparse groups were able to escape that fate thanks to hiding in difficult-to-reach terrains. As a result, the ones gathered here today before Deetsong are the ones who didn't get the news of the demon realm's attack and had to be sought out personally. That's correct, Your Majesty. We are the remaining demon tribes living in this region and are willing to be at your command. Deetsong's sight first landed on the speaking old elder, then shifted to the beautiful young maiden next to him. An entry-level middle divine? The words were faint, but it was able to reach everyone's ear nevertheless. Understanding he needed to explain, the old elder steps forward and bows. Your Majesty, she is my youngest daughter and the most talented one among my children. In order to not let the celestial realm's people know of her existence, we deliberately hid her talent over the years and has only managed to help her break into that rank recently. Her age is a bit old, but no matter, my daughter the princess will be born soon. I need proper maids that can not only serve her but also to protect her from danger. First Elder, go find several more talented maids like this one to serve the princess. As his daughter, Deetsong has every intent to give the baby the best he could offer in this world. Furthermore, he needs to train the maids to keep the stinking brats eyeing his precious girl away. What if they try to snatch her out from under his eye? The queen ran away again. 1. Yes, sire. First Elder respectfully complies by cupping his hand. I will take care of this matter, so please go ahead and return to the queen. I'm sure Her Highness will want to be accompanied by you. The last bit of his sentence was sugar to the ear, which made the Demon King's face melt again into a warming smile that left the elder awkwardly embarrassed. He wanted to remind Deetsong again this wasn't the right image to give as their king, but the man was already gone when he opened his mouth again. A humph. Coughing to clear the awkwardness in the air, First Elder figured he might as well push forward anyway since they've already embarrassed themselves enough. Leopard Chief, our king always takes good care of the queen, so there are never any maids near Her Highness. However, the princess will soon be born, so we are in obvious needs of capable maids for that. I want to know if your leopard clan has any qualified members to fit the job. The meaning of his remark was obvious. It's a warning to not get any funny ideas about the king or becoming his consort. They're only maids and nothing else otherwise. I've said all I need to say now. Go back and prepare the candidates and come to the demon city when you're ready. Whisking his sleeve, First Elder then began to leave and signaled the dispersal of everyone gathered. Sister. Right as the young demoness who had caught Deetsong's eye earlier was about to leave though, another figure suddenly steps in and stopped her in the track. Compared with her beautiful face, this new girl in front was quite petite with a cuter contour. Sister, I heard the king personally selected you? That's great. When I get to the city, I will need your help, sister. Furrowing up her brow, mooing, the leopard demoness grew hesitant at her younger sister's request. You want me to help you for what? Quit trying to fool me, sister. You really think I don't know? The king is only saying it on the outside that he's looking for maids to look after the princess, but in truth he's searching for concubines for himself. Once we are in the demon city, then we are all his woman. Your strength is higher than mine, so of course you will need to help me. In this cute-looking petite girl's opinion, Muing should be monopolized for her own benefits since she's stronger and her older sister. Such a great opportunity doesn't come often, especially when they're going to be in the palace to serve the king. What do you mean by that? When did the king start selecting concubines? He only chose me because my talent and strength are higher than everyone else's. Don't go running off and getting weird ideas. Now getting annoyed in her tone, Muing didn't like the way the conversation was heading. Regarding this younger sister of hers, the young demoness could say she's not very fond of her to begin with. For one thing, the girl never bothers to improve or train. That's already a disappointing factor in of itself. And the other was how often her younger sister would try to seek higher places beyond her position. This goes against everything Muing stands for, and that was self-improvement. The queen ran away again. 2. Protect the little princess. Mu Shui sneered sarcastically over her older sister's belief. The baby inside the queen's stomach hasn't even come out yet. How are they so certain it's a princess? Muing's expression sank into a darker tone over that comment. If you do this, then it will bring great disaster to our leopard clan. It's not easy for us to have this peace today, and you want to ruin it all for your own sake. I'm only speaking the truth, sister. What's more, I heard the queen is only a human. Us demons hate humanity to the core. What makes you think the king can really last forever with her? Not to mention the young prince is nothing but a filthy half-breed. What makes you think he can lead our kind? Mu Shui's lip then formed a scornful sneer like she's been insulted. Only the children we give birth to is worthy of becoming the true heir. Anything less is unworthy. Nothing but a stinking human woman. How dare she compete with us for the king's favor? If the queen is a demoness, then it's one thing, at least then I will still be able to suck it up. But she's a human. And the fact that the king is having the first elder choose maids for the princess goes to show how little he favors the current queen. That's right, in this presumptuous bitch's mind. Di Tsong's act of finding capable maids for his own unborn daughter was in fact an indirect mean of choosing more concubines for himself, and she herself was the perfect candidate for that position. I will tell father about everything you said today, and you. Stopping there because she didn't want to finish the last bit, Muing glares at her own younger sister to emphasize her point. However, their argument didn't get any further because an angry holler had cut them off just then. What tell? What is there to tell? Aside from tattling to your father, what else can you do? Almost running over was a middle-aged woman of decent beauty, but that resentful and angry growl ruined it all. I'm warning you, Muing, you're not allowed to tell your father about this. Furthermore, you must do everything in your power to help your sister get the position of queen. Staring wide-eyed at this order. Mother, what do you mean by that? Isn't it obvious? With your strength, killing a simple human is easy. Once you are done with that, then you can take the blame for yourself. This way you won't drag your little sister down with you. Yu Yao coldly snorted like it's the obvious thing to say to her own eldest daughter. Due to the circumstances, Muing had been kept in the mountains since childhood and isolated from the rest of her clan. Therefore she didn't have much contact with her own mother over the years. Naturally, Yu Yao wouldn't have much feelings for this girl as a result and favored the younger one instead. As expected, Mu Ying's body went stiff after what she heard. My own mother wants me to die for her other daughter? She wants me to die for Mu Shui? Is she even my mother anymore? Mother! Hooking her arms around like it's pre-planned, Mu Shui starts getting all whiny like a spoiled brat. I don't care, I want to be the king's woman. No, I want to be the queen. I want to have his child, and I want my child to be the future heir. I know my baby is far better than that half-breed runt. Oh my good daughter, you don't need to worry. Your mother, I will definitely get your sister to help you get your wish. Giving a gentle caress of her daughter's hair, this biased mother didn't even spare a glance towards the older one. Besides, my sewer here is so outstanding, how can anyone not like you? That said, Yu Yao's eyes then shifted to Mu Ying's figure, who just stood there with a haunted face. This woman had no warmth in those eyes, like she's facing some servant. Did you hear me or not? Don't think just because your father favors you that you can use him against me. If you dare say a single word about today, then I will die in front of you immediately. I will tell everyone it's you who forced your own mother to die after clinging onto the king." The queen ran away again. 3. Muing was left speechless and stunned over her own mother's irate face. It's painful and hurtful for the girl, like someone just yanked at her heart and threw it away. This is my mother. Does she think I voluntarily locked myself up in the mountains? Does she think I wanted to leave them? How can a parent make such a request of their own child? This sort of maltreatment was honestly not what Muing expected. Just because she herself didn't get to grow up with the family, she's now an outsider. Alright, I won't tell father so you two can stop fretting, but I won't help her either. I'm afraid of dying, so asking me to die for her is out of the question. Disheartened inside, Muing didn't have the energy left to speak to these two. Yu Yao may not favor her eldest daughter, but the motherly instinct was still there. Sadly, once the woman saw the cold hard stare from Muing, she immediately retracted any sentiment of feeling guilty. Muing, I don't believe what you say about not having thoughts about the king. I'm telling you, the position as queen is your little sister's. You mustn't fight her for it. That only made the girl even more disappointed. Whatever you want, just don't blame me and say I didn't warn you beforehand. There's a good chance you two will die for this. That said, she gave one final glance at her sister and mother like it's some sort of farewell to their familiar bonds. She's done with them and only wants to return to the mountain. Mother. Mu Shui felt aggrieved over the rejection and started to whine again. Don't worry, sweetie. I will go talk to your father and have him bring you into the palace. But remember, don't let him know about what we're planning. With his old-fashioned nature, he will surely object to the idea and remove you from the roster. Still sulky in the face, Mu Shui bites her lip. What if Muing tells father? Her? The fact that she promised us means she won't rat us out. Don't take her too seriously, and when you do become the queen, won't she have to kneel before your feet? When that time comes, you can humiliate her all you like. This time Yu Yao's voice was very cold, like the girl was no longer her daughter at all. At the mention of being the queen, Mu Shui's heart definitely felt relieved because the desire and greed for the crown overcame all her own hears. Imagine a tiara on her own head and the groveling picture of thousands of demons before her eye. What a glorious picture that would be. I won't let you down, mother. One day I will become the noblest of all women in this world. At first her goal was only to become a concubine of Deetsong's, but clearly this girl has no bounds or qualms about anything. Yu Yao felt proud after hearing that blasted remark worthy of execution. In this mother's mind, her youngest daughter could do anything, blind confidence being the worst type of poison for an ignorant mother. Go clean yourself up now. I'll go find your father and organize the matter of bringing you into the palace. Patting her daughter's head, the woman's attitude was too polarizing to say she's right in the head. The queen ran away again. 4. Even though Muing promised her not to say anything, but Yu Yao has never been one to trust others so easily. She must go confirm it's the case in order to be reassured, and telling her youngest daughter would do nothing but make trouble. Demon City. Inside the newly constructed palace, Deetsong was searching high and low for the two people he wanted to find. Sadly, despite his efforts, he couldn't find a single trace of their being in the courtyards or rooms. Going slightly white in the face, he makes a grab for the nearest demon soldier. Where's the queen and prince? Startled and unable to process the question, the poor guard had to take a good moment to answer. The queen and prince said they wanted to go out for a walk because they felt stuffy inside. They haven't returned yet. They haven't returned yet? The man's face instantly changed into an ugly shade. Hurrying to close his eyes in order to sense for his wife's presence, the Demon King didn't wait another second before his body disappeared in a gush of wind for the outside. Not long after the king's departure, First Elder also returns from his trip of recruiting the 10 maids for the princess. But when he saw the trembling appearance of the palace guards around himself, he couldn't help but wonder. Why are you all acting so nervous for? Literally squirming from discomfort, the guard in question cried and wept as he spoke. The queen and prince ran away from home again, we didn't stop her, and now the king. He's very angry. Sure enough, the elder's face went stiff like a rock. Bursting with anger as well, he stomped over and grabbed the person by the collar and yelled from the top of his lung. You useless things! Don't you know the queen is pregnant? You actually let her go out on her own? What if something happens to the prince and queen? Do you want us all to die? The impending fate of that future left all the guards within earshot of his outburst crumbling to the floor. They didn't dare to move, nor did they dare to ask for mercy because it would only make things worse. Frustrated, First Elder didn't want to waste time on unimportant matters now. You two go arrange the living quarters for these maids. I'm going to go handle this issue first because you useless idiots can't do a simple job of looking after the royal family. Yes, Elder. The leading palace guard complies and hanged his head in depression. Not a moment too late after the elder's departure, the leopard ladies were brought over by another attendant charged with their guidance. But when Mu Shui saw the mood appearances of these soldiers, the greedy girl couldn't resist coming over to ask, "Hey Mr. Guard, is the relationship between your king and queen very bad? Why does she constantly run away from home?" Frowning at the annoyance, "Our king and queen's relationship have always been good. You don't need to fret about it." Despite those words and the constant tugging of her older sister mooing from the side, the little greedy lass didn't budge and smirked. "Is that so? Why does the queen keep wanting to leave then? I bet it's because she got wind of the king wanting to take in a new consort. That's why she's left out of anger." The king wants to take in a new consort? The expression of the guard froze over the idea. No wonder. No wonder the queen was anxious to leave today. It must be because the king broke her heart, which made her leave out of spite. Mu Shui, now openly growing anxious in the face, mooing desperately, wanted to put a stop to this before it's too late. Lowering her voice into an urgent whisper, "Stop this. This is the Demon City and not the Leopard Clan. No one can protect you here." Obvious Mu Shui didn't agree with that idea and puckered up those lips. "Not like I said anything that's false. Why is she being so pushy?" Labor 1. A humph. The guard forces a dry cough using an expressionless face. "Whatever you want to say can come later. Right now come with me." In an instant the courtyard was silent over the order. Mu Shui undoubtedly felt unhappy over the lost opportunity, and glared at her older sister. "What a nosy body. I knew I should have forced mother to keep this woman at home. That way I can avoid having her cling on to me and ruin my good thing." However, not even this greedy girl was foolish enough to openly showcase her true feelings. This wasn't the Leopard Clan, but the palace in the Demon City. She has at least enough awareness to know what she could and couldn't do in these times. The guard obviously saw through the character of this leopard lass. After all, this wasn't the first time he's had to deal with the female sex trying to get into the king's bedchamber. In the end, after much deliberation, the demon soldier decides to consult with the elder council after bringing these maids to their designated living quarters. He doesn't want to make presumptions and make another mistake like today. Unfortunately, it seems fate doesn't want to side with the poor palace guard during this period. Right when he arrived at the courtyard where the remaining elders were staying, he was firmly driven away by the attendants, saying the elders were currently in a crucial step of making a breakthrough and won't allow an audience. In a tea house not far from the Demon City, a teenager was currently sitting next to a window staring out into the sky when he overheard the nearby conversations. "Oh right, did you hear about the recent news regarding the Demon City?" Demon City? Crumpling up his nose over those two words, the teen in question started to pay attention. "Of course I've heard about that Demon City. It's been conquered by the demons, did it not? I really have to wonder what the Celestial Palace is thinking. It's been so long already, why aren't they sending people over to retake the place? If this continues, then the entire realm will fall into those demons at this rate." "I'm not talking about that city being conquered, you silly. I'm talking about the Demon King taking in new consorts. Because of that reasoning, the Demon Queen and her son the Prince have now ran away from home and hasn't returned yet. That Demon Queen deserves it, I say. She's a human like us but decides to become a demon's wife." Bang! The teacup in the boy's hand was crushed in that instant. Despite the boiling water being hot enough to give a burn, the teen didn't pay it any heed and came before the loudmouth gossiper's face in the next. What do you want?" the person asks after noticing the intensely cold air coming down his neck. "You just said, the Demon King wants to take in a new consort, is that true?" I'm not entirely sure. The news came from the Demon City, so I'm only saying what I heard. It's a huge sensation apparently and has all the female demons there riles up. Even some human women are trying to get in on the election process. Labor too. Swoosh. Right as the loudmouthed gossiper finished his words, the teen in question had already turned away following a rapid gush of wind. Demon City. Standing under the mounting image of the towering structures that made up the walls surrounding this city, the teen was indifferent as he held out his long sword. But before he could make it no more than a few steps towards the city gates, a regiment of demon soldiers had rushed over to surround him from within. "Get Deetsong out here to see me," he snaps, unfazed by the sizable force before his eye. "Who are you? How dare you call our king by name?" asked the leading guard. Sneering, "I only want to ask him in person if he really intends to take in a new consort. Tell him to get out here." The guards were all taken aback by the demand. It's true there's a rumor hovering above the city about the king taking in new consorts, and that the new maid's first elder brought back from the leopard clan were the likely candidates. But that's never confirmed, so it didn't make sense that someone would have issue with the matter. Of course, those who knows the royal family wouldn't believe such nonsense to begin with, but that doesn't mean everyone would think that way. For these palace guards over here, they're originally from the secret domain of the demon realm. They've spent most of their time training within there, so whatever story or information they had were only from hearsay, hence the hesitation in their behavior. I thought it was all rumors at first, but clearly that's not the case if even his subordinates are acting the way you are all. Perhaps it's the rage brewing from within at the notion. The teen's hand was starting to shake as he held that sword. "I will get an answer from him no matter what today. I want to know if the promise he made to me back then still holds true. He promised to love my sister for the rest of his life. Now he wants to take in a new consort? Fine. If he takes one then I'll kill one, if he takes two then I'll kill two. I like to see him take a new consort then." The more he spoke, the more intimidating and threatening the young lad became. Against this oppressive picture, the demon soldiers all felt an instinctive fear and cowered back. "You!" The leading guard popped his eyes out as he nervously cried out the idea in his mind. "You are the king's brother-in-law?" Instead of getting happy, the teen only grew more outraged at the title. "Brother-in-law? That's all in the past. My sister is Bai Yan, and I won't recognize someone that likes to flirt around with other females after being married. Now go get him out here to see me. Or is he too afraid to come out in person?" Sweating buckets at the confirmation, the leading guard wanted to curse his own luck. This guy really is the queen's younger brother, and he's here to get justice for the queen. I can't offend this guy, otherwise the king might kill us for good if he learns of this. "So it's Sir Shao, apologies for not recognizing you beforehand. Unfortunately I can't oblige your request because the king has left in search of the queen again." The guard rubs his hands together like a guilty child that's been caught doing something wrong. Labor 3. Bai Zhao's expression grew even colder over that information. "That asshole still have the guts to find my sister? Ridiculous. When he comes back you tell him I am willing to take care of my sister for life. If he really wants to take in a new consort then he will stop pestering my sister." That said, he gives one final glance to the open gate where a flash of cold gleam glowed from those irises. Just when the leading demon solitaire felt relieved at the teen turning away again, something completely out of his expectation occurred. It's the sound of something collapsing behind his back. Rigid like a robot, he turns around and saw what it was. The gate has been sliced apart and down on the ground. Gulping, Her Highness's brother isn't easy to handle either. He destroyed the gate. That's tantamount to stepping on the king's face. It looks like His Majesty won't have an easy time persuading the queen to return this time. Sky Mountain. High into the clouds, dangers are lurking everywhere in this difficult terrain. Nevertheless, Bai Yin continues to push through the blocking branches with her sword in one hand and her son behind herself. SSSSS. Suddenly, the poor woman felt a stinging pain along the belly and caused her to convulse a gasp. She's sweating now, but knew well enough stopping was out of the question at this point. Mother, what's wrong? Bai Xiachen nervously grabbed onto Bai Yan's hand after noticing the behavior, his little face showing concern and worry. Shaking her head. It's all right, probably it's your little sister wanting to come out. I'm sorry, Mother, it's all my fault. If not for me, you wouldn't have to endure so much with your tummy this big. Aching with pain in the heart, the kid had started to cry along his lovely but guilty face. "I'm fine, this is your sister's will. Come, let's continue. Only by getting up to the peak of this sky mountain can we find a celestial fox." Drawing a smile to reassure her boy, Bai Yin presses on without regret. For her son, she's willingly to do anything and endure anything. Like this sky mountain, it's infamous for being dangerous and full of traps. Thankfully, she did her research beforehand and managed to avoid any risk so far. It's just that there's some sort of invisible pressuring force surrounding this mountain that hindered any human trying to climb it. Due to this reasoning, Bai Yan's body would be stressed beyond compare with every inch she moved, making it all the more difficult to walk. Even so, she's not going to stop. In fact, she couldn't stop. Bang! But in the end, the pressure was just too much for her pregnant self. Bending down in the knees, she's sweating buckets and showed visible pain on the face. Labor for mother. Throwing himself over to Bai Yan's side, he cries out in fright. "Let's go back, okay? I don't want the celestial fox's blood anymore. Let's go home. We've already come this far. There's no turning back anymore, Xiachen. There's only 100 meters away. We must reach the top." Closing her eyes, Bai Yan's mind brought up the image of that ghoul-like version of her son merging together with the light one. Only with that picture did her heart firm up again. Even if I have to crawl, I must crawl up here. No one can stop me from saving my son. Grinding a streak with her knee along the snow, she slowly climbs up to her feet by clinging onto the cliffside. "I must get up there. The celestial foxes will only show themselves if I'm at the peak. I must get up there." At the thought, she then stares down at her belly and rubbed the life that's within herself. "Child, you must protect yourself. For your brother, I can only persist. I also believe you will be born safely into this world and stay with me for life." Bai Xiachen saw how determined his mother was and decides to stop crying despite the tears still coming out. He's learned enough through the years he's not supposed to show weakness when Bai Yan's trying so hard already. Together, one small and one big figure continued to climb this difficult mountain pass. But the mountain wouldn't just ease up on its relentless nature just because the two were showing determination. The more they climbed, the colder it became until Bai Yan felt like her body's being taken over by frostbites. Nevertheless, the pair eventually did reach the peak of this snowy mountain. Though it took far more time than necessary from daytime to nightfall, they've made it. Perhaps it's the fact that she's reached the goal, or the fact that the strange pressuring aura around this mountain has dissipated, but Bai Yan collapsed the second she felt it was far enough. This would have been fatal if it was under normal circumstances. However, there's one good thing out of all this. Her power's back. Immediately, the woman summoned up her internal energy to course through her veins and brought a wave of warmth to the body. "Mother!" Bai Xiachen pounced at the collapsed woman after seeing her terrible condition. He wanted to dearly to check her health, but the inner restraint brought the boy back to his senses and stopped him from doing anything rash. "You're so silly, Xiachen." Breaking out a smile, Bai Yin gently pokes at the little steambun's temple. Because the boy was a half-breed, part human and part demon, he's able to interchange between both races with his aura. But just then, when he cried out after she collapsed, the boy had stopped using his demon aura and reverted back to the human version, making him susceptible to the same pressure that Bai Yan's been fending off until now. "Mother," face planting his plump face against her belly, "I'm not afraid of suffering, I only want to be with you. I'm too small to help carry some of the weight from you, so I can only do this. I don't want you to suffer alone, mother." Labor 5. For the little steambun, being able to stay with Bai Yan was all that he wanted in this world. Even if that meant plenty of suffering and dangers involved, he won't regret it. Hiss! The poor woman wanted to say something more then, however. It's right at that moment a stinging pain came rolling from her belly again and caused her to go white from the spasm. "What's wrong, mother?" Bai Xiachen asks with urgent eyes. "Is my little sister coming out?" Tightly biting her lips, Bai Yin clearly couldn't speak anymore due to the sensation coursing through her veins. It's an experience normal people could never imagine. For example, compared to the injuries she's used to taking in combat, this was several times more intense. "Mother." Unable to hold back the tears anymore, the little steambun shows a pleading face due to that painful expression. He's accompanied Bai Yan for so many years and has never seen his mother behave this strongly and helpless. Xiachen, help me, prepare the scissor and hot water. Yuho, quickly pulling out the prepared scissor from his storage bag. The boy also grabs the water kettle and an iron pot from within for use. These are all prepared for this occasion prior to their departure, so it didn't take long for Bai Xiachen to set everything up. Bai Yan, on the other hand, was too preoccupied with her current condition of going into labor to do anything else. Truthfully, she doesn't understand why either, but this time it's much more painful than when she carried her son the first time around. Seconds passed. Minutes passed. The clock continued to tick along, but the baby remained firmly lodged in there, refusing to come out and causing the poor woman to gasp constantly in pain. Mother! Growing increasingly more distressed over that painful face, the boy starts to plead. I don't want a sister anymore. I don't want a sister anymore. Can you not give birth anymore? I don't want you to keep getting hurt. Unable to speak, Bai Yan could only make a bittersweet smile at her boy. The baby's already coming out soon, how can I not have it? Besides, I've come this far and climbed the mountain, what does some pain matter at this point? Getting angry now, Bai Xiachen stares angrily at the big belly. You are not a good sister, you causing mother so much pain. If you don't come out now, then I won't like you anymore. Who knows if the boy's words really worked, or it's just the timing. But the next thing Bai Yan felt was a loosening sensation around her belly and a ball of flesh rolling down her bottom half, followed closely by the screaming cry of a baby's voice. Panting with air still, Bai Yan felt relieved. Hurry, Xiachen, go pick the baby up or else the cold will hurt her. I don't want to. Bai Xiachen refused and instead ran up to Bai Yan's side to grasp her hand. Why? Don't you want your sister? Hurry and go pick her up. She hurt you, so I don't like her anymore. Puckering his lips, the boy explains with an unhappy face. Labor 6. In the eyes of the boy, anyone who hurts his mother was one to dislike, hence his behavior right this instant. Xiachen, I suffered a lot in order to give birth to her. Are you going to let all that go in vain? Bai Yan says that with a frail smile. Though unwilling, the little steam bun does find the argument logical. As such, he could only begrudgingly come before the baby where found the pinkish lump of squirming flesh. Instantly, the hard look on his face began to soften up. Crying out after finding the bodily structure similar to his own, the boy swings around and exclaimed, Mother! This is not a little sister, this is a little brother. Also showing surprise along the face, Bai Yan just stared for a second, realizing how silly she's been. For days on end, Bai Xiachen's insistence about the baby being a girl has apparently rubbed off on her, and that made her assume that's the case. How silly, how could I have taken a child's dream as real? Puckering his lip to the side, Bai Xiachen's discontent towards the baby only grew. If it was a sister, then I can ignore what happened, but he's a little brother. When he grows up, I'm going to teach him a good lesson. Hiss! Right as Bai Yan could gather a breather, another contraction hits her hard, causing that face to go white. Xiachen, there's another one. Instantly, the boy's complexion went pale again over the news. Why is there another one? It was already hard enough for one. I don't want mother to go through another hurt. Bai Yan knew the boy's worry, so she tried to reassure him with a smile, however. Perhaps this one in the stomach was better and well behaved, but there wasn't any struggle for the woman after one push. Immediately, a second ball of flesh rolled down from her bottom self. And like before, Bai Xiachen quickly stepped in to pick up the crying baby. It's just that unlike the first baby, this one clearly had a different structural makeup. This fact brought a huge smile to the boy's face. Mother, it's a sister, this is a girl. Full of excitement in the voice, he's so proud right now. I knew it, my little sister is the good and obedient one. She didn't make mother suffer at all. This little brother, on the other hand, is the bad one. He's mischievous just from first glance. I'm going to give him a good beating later. Against the picture of her 3 children, Bai Yan just couldn't help but chuckle. Be good, little sister. I will take good care of you and fend off the cold. Shrouding his little hands in a golden glow, the boy's power instantly dispelled the frost around the 2 babies. Oh right, mother, can I name my brother and sister? He asks with sparking eyes, faintly nodding. Okay. Then I'll name my little sister Ling Yan, meaning hope and beauty. She will be Di Ling Yan. If that's what makes you happy, Bai Yan softly giggles. And what about your little brother? Oh, puckering his lips in discontent, Little brother is so naughty, so I'll just call him Pippi. Gawking her face, Bai Yin has had to hand it to her son. Based on this attitude alone, she could tell he doesn't like this baby brother. That name is not very nice, pick another, she says with brows pricked. Truth was Bai Xiaochen only wanted to help name his sister. Never did he intend on for a boy instead. If not for worrying about tiring out Bai Yin some more, he wouldn't even bother at this point. Puckering his lips again. Then let's call him Tian Tian. Tian Tian? Bai Yan's face went black. Your little sister will be called Di Lian Yan, and your little brother will be called Di Jin Tian. How about that? Celestial Fox 1. Okay, I will listen to you, mother. The boy has no opinion regarding the matter, after all. He only cares about his little sister's name. Giving a gentle tickle at the baby girl. Ling Yan, you have to remember your name is from your older brother here. As if to answer those words, the girl actually drew a smile that melted the kid's heart like a hot spring. Mother, she is smiling at me, did you see that? Smiling right up to the eye, Bai Xiaochen couldn't hold back his delight. She must also like me a lot. Xiaochen, bring me the scissor first. Bai Yin had long climbed up from the dirty ground and leaned in against a nearby tree using a sitting position. Okay. First burning the metal utensil against the fire, he then quickly came before his mother with a helpless face. What should I do now, mother? Give. But before she could say give her the scissor, a noticeable energy signature had caught her attention and sent her into alarm. Xiaochen, protect your little brother and sister. Without delay, Bai Yin takes over and cuts the umbilical cord without a second thought, her eyes scanning intently at the front. Okay. With the main cord holding the baby's back cut, the little steam bun was free to move around freely for the impending new arrival. They are both aware of what's coming and knew what must be done. Swoosh! It didn't take long for the sound to reach their location, and when it did, Bai Yan's eyes immediately locked onto the snowy white fox that gave off an incredible visual impact. Yet instead of stopping over the unfamiliar people in her territory, the fox continued to pounce at them at incredible speed. In an instant, the creature had brandished its claws and swiped down at Bai Yan's shoulder. Mother! White in the face, Bai Xiaochen snaps in anger over the wound. Stop! This angry holler carried incredible weight apparently. Rather than continuing with its attack, the celestial fox stopped and stared out at the child in a daze. Using this momentary opening, Bai Yin promptly backed off to gain a bit of distance. The pain stung from her shoulder and she's very perplexed by the creature's behavior. Does Xiaochen's lineage able to suppress the celestial fox? That must be it. He's also a fox, the royal family at that. This celestial fox may have lived and evolved inside the celestial realm, but he's still an animal. Careful! From out of the blue, Bai Yin could hear the whistling sound of an arrow from the sky. It's shrouded in purple light, soaring through the air like it wants to rip reality apart. Thankfully the target wasn't the woman herself, otherwise she'd be in some serious danger there. Instead, it's shooting straight down for the hostile animal. PFFF. The celestial fox obviously sensed the danger behind itself and also tried to dodge. Unfortunately, the creature, it was already too late. The arrow had pierced through its chest and stained the ground with a whole puddle of red. Celestial fox, too. Despite the audible thud as the celestial fox crashed into the ground, the creature never once took its eyes off Bai Xiaochen's figure. It's as if it still didn't understand what's happening. Meanwhile, further behind where Bai Yin stood, a beautiful young-looking maiden had come out with a bow in hand, proud and cocky in the face. Celestial fox, I've waited a long time for you to come out. Let's see how you will escape from us. It took a moment for Bai Yin to come back to her senses from all this, but when she did, her eyes dilated inwards and caused her to jerk into action. Pulling a bottle out from storage, she swiftly gathered the needed blood and handed it to her boy. Xiaochen, leave here with your siblings. Find a safe place and then drink this blood. Unfortunately, the kid clearly didn't agree and firmly shook his little head. Leave now. She frowns. Don't forget, you said you have to protect your sister. I'll handle the matter here, so leave. Despite the unwillingness to depart, Bai Xiaochen nevertheless did as told after casting a look down to the two babies in his arms. He ran for the nearby bushes to first get cover. This celestial fox was first discovered by me, so it's mine, said the young beautiful maiden who had a cocky appearance. So you better scram. Pursing her own lip, Bai ignored the clamor and reached for a medicinal pill instead to hand over to the fox. Eat this. Startled by what it's seeing, the celestial fox didn't understand why a human would want to save itself. You hurt me, but you also saved my son, so we're even now. This pill is the reward for what you gave. Not giving a proper reply, the celestial fox swallowed the offering without struggle. It understood there's nothing else to lose at this point, and that was the right choice because the bleeding and pain immediately stopped. Who allowed you to touch my thing? The pompous girl exclaims, eyes flaring with anger. Expressionless on her own